Good afternoon and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you're new to me, be sure to click the link in the info box below and subscribe to my main channel, Nathan Oakley 1980, to keep up to date with all things Flat Earth, including vlogs and interviews. If you'd like to join this panel, the link to join the actual show is also in the info box right at the bottom. Click on that link and you are welcome to join to express your views and opinions on the shape of the Earth. There are only a few small rules, two to be exact. The first being there is no swearing, and I will qualify this by saying I'm not averse to people swearing. It's more the case that when people do, they tend to be a little bit more agitated. So I will give people maybe 2 warnings to stop swearing, and there won't be a third. I'll simply eject people. If you happen to be ejected, you will be warmly welcomed back on the next show, which is the second rule. So that's pretty much it. You are allowed to air your views completely unopposed if no one else is on the show. I will try to not intervene and be as behind the scenes as I possibly can, sharing links and moderating the chat, but again, hopefully as little as possible. So if the chat is running nicely, there should be no need for my interjection whatsoever. So in the meantime, I'm going to transition to the photographs while we hopefully get some people to join. We may get no guests, we may get dozens of guests, we may have a great conversation, we may have no conversation, but during these periods of dead air, as I say, I will leave up my Guess the Film slides and I will leave you to it. As I say, I'm going to disappear and share this live show with a few people in the various social media platforms that are available to me, and once I've done that I may come back and plug the platform and invite a few more people to join while we are devoid of guests. So I shall leave you to it in the meantime. I've now shared the link across a few different platforms, so I've put out not the actual invitation to join, but the share link, which I encourage everybody watching to also do. So if you are watching, please click that share button and stick the link on Facebook and Twitter. If you happen to be in the chat when somebody interjects and says, "I can't believe I'm hearing this," well, tell them that they can join by clicking on the link in the info box below this video, which will remain there for the entire video. It does get updated for each show, so the link is relevant to whichever show is running now. Obviously, if you go into an old show, the link will remain, but it'll be the link for the old show, so you won't necessarily be able to join through that link, although I think those links do remain open for people to have conversations in there, although there's a very low statistical likelihood that someone else would have also clicked in there and be in one of those hangouts that isn't naturally now running as this one is. If you'd like to join the show, as I say, click on the link in the info box below this video. In the meantime, if you feel free to chat in the chat room. I may periodically jump in and address people who are in there, invite them to join. If yesterday was anything to go by, I may as well explain exactly why I'm having this show, or why it's running with plenty of dead air. So this is a platform for literally anybody to join if you would like to express your views on the shape of the Earth. Obviously, with my bias, I have put in the title Flat Earth. However, if you have views that are contrary to that, you are welcome to express them. My sole purpose is not to necessarily to disagree with you, although I may well interject, and I reserve the right to do so, as it is in fact my show. As I found out yesterday, people or one guy was under the impression that I'm simply here not to talk at all, which is certainly not the case, but on the whole, I would hope that it went as such that people were debating each other as opposed to having an argument with me directly. So my place here is hopefully just to interject and stop people from swearing / getting angry, and eject anybody who are not reasonable in their behaviour. So as I say, if you want to join, click on that link in the info box, and I'm going to leave this running regardless of whether or not we get any guests. I may well turn my camera off and just monitor it from the sidelines. If you do join, just say hello, I will hear you, and then I'll just transition across to the main Hangout page, which I'll show you now, just so you can see who's in the chat, while we've actually got a couple of people, probably a very, very limited audience actually watching at the moment. But there you can probably see, I know, there's a fair few people actually chatting, messages streaming on by, jolly good stuff. Let's just see if I can get that to look a little bit better. There we go. Much better. So there we go. As I say, I'm going to probably for the time being transition back to my photographs and hope for someone to join. Hopefully be chatting to someone in the not too distant future.
Good morning.
Hello, just give me 1 second. I'm just getting a cup of coffee.
All right.
Well, you're actually free to say whatever you like. People can hear you.
Okay. I thought I'd roll out of bed and start my day again this way. Hey, Mr. Poncho Pete Strong. It's been a while since I've seen you. It's Lewis Hackett, in case you don't recognize the voice. Stonehenge was
Right,
built.
people can now see you and hear you, and the chat's now up, and you've got a bit of company. You've got DQ with you, but for the time being, I'm gonna actually eat some food and get a cup of coffee. So, sorry, I'll be with you shortly. I promise.
All right. Stonehenge was built by last Wednesdays by some Irish navvies. Who are you? Show me some photo ID. Still got your sense of humor. I'm happy to hear that, Pete. Well, I mean, to respond to Stonehenge, no, Stonehenge was made to observe the sky. You were meant to sit with your back to the pillars at various times of the year and look up, and you would see various constellations in the sky. So it's actually one of the world's first observatories. But, you know, whatever you want to make of it is fine, of course. You're free to. Stonehenge is old, you fucking cunt. You fucking cunt. Nice, dude. Why don't you just spell it out? But hey, roomies. Yeah, DQ, where you at? It's not all that old, but I mean, in comparison to some things, but there's some really big structures in New Mexico, or not New Mexico, Mexico, somewhere. And from mountaintops, you can see that they're drawings, but on the ground they just look like stones lined up. But they're actually quite in depth and detailed drawings, and that indicates, you know, a huge wealth of resources from a civilization at one time or another, so much that they could afford to send people out and create these massive drawings on the ground. I'm not sure how old they are, but I don't know. They were obviously trying to show those who live in the heavens that they are worthy of their gaze. I'm not one to leave a captive audience, so in good Lewis Hackett fashion, I will open up my small book of poems. Okay, let's try this one. If to be clever means that I must sneer at every honest effort to be good, must tear to pieces all the brave revere, and scorn what isn't clearly understood, if only what is rotten can be art, Lord, keep me from the sin of being smart. If to be clever means that I must jest at all that men hold sacred and disdain, the simple teachings telling what is best must serve the passions for my pocket's gain. If brilliance means an utter lack of heart, Lord, save me from the sin of being smart. If to be clever means that I must see all that is base and vile and call that real, and find honor swear it cannot be, because I've known some men to lie and steal. If wit must tear a gentle worth all gentle worth apart, Lord, save me from the sin of being smart. Oh, that's too bad, DQ. Well, I'm just reading because no one's in here, but yeah, Pete, that's what he's got it for. Yeah, you should come in. This is my favorite poem, though. Figure it out for yourself, my lad. You've all that the greatest of men have had. 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a brain to use if you would be wise. With this equipment they all began, so start for the top and say, I can. Look them over, the wise and great. They take their food from a common plate, and similar knives and forks they use. With similar laces they tie their shoes. And the world considers them brave and smart, but you've all they had when they made their start. You can triumph and come to skill. You can be great if you only will. You're well equipped for the fight you choose. You have arms and legs and a brain to use. And the man who's risen great deeds to do began his life with no more than you. You are the handicap you must face. You are the one who must choose your place. You must say where you want to go, how much you will study the truth to know. God has equipped you for life, but He lets you decide what you want to be. Courage must come from the soul within. The man must furnish the will to win. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. You were born with all that the great have had. With your equipment, they all began. Get hold of yourself and say, I can. This one's called Two Worlds. I haven't read it before, but the first line looked pretty interesting, so. There are two worlds wherein to dwell, and one is harsh and stern. The other lies where none can tell, and none can ever learn. For each man keeps a secret place to meet his spirit face to face. The world of fact is known to all. Its streets are paved and hard, and lined with buildings cold and tall, and some with windows barred. Their fame and fortune are the gods which set the stakes and make the odds. And what a man is there is not, and what a man is there is not, the man he'd like to be. For there the place is swift and hot, in constant strife is he. Men judge him for the thing he seems, who never finds his world of dreams. But in that shadowy veil of thought to which at times he flees, he finds the peace he long has sought, and endless beauty sees. In silence with his dreams he dwells, where no one either buys or sells. That one was much better than I thought it was going to be. I should have read that one a while ago. Pete, you can come in here.
It's not Pete.
Oh, it's not Pete. Oh, I'm being trolled. Bummer. I've just been reading poems out of a book by Edgar A. Guest.
Cool.
I'll read one more here. I'm not a philosopher bearded in gray, said he unto me. I'm simple of speech and plain in my way, which is easy to see. I don't know the whys and the wherefores and whences, what life really is and just how it commences. But I do know that the living encounter expenses. With high-sounding language I cannot compete, but some things I've learned. I know that the money for house rent and meat must always be earned. And whether the man be day toiler or scholar, if his need be for coal or a tie for his collar, he must either have credit or dig up the dollar. I know that I live and shall live till I die, and I don't have to read deep volumes to tell me, as time hurries by, there is much I shall need. My problem is this: in foul weather or sunny, my children will frequently want bread and honey, and the grocer who sells them will ask for the money. So having to live on the earth day by day along with the rest, the problem's not which is the easiest way, but which is the best. My philosophy's this: to look after my fences, to think of the future before it commences, and to work for an income to meet life's expenses. All right, I'm all set on them.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to get in Arwen. Do you know Arwen?
Not well, no.
Yeah. Arwen has I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but some pretty way out there beliefs, and he knows it, but he will back. I don't want to say back them up with evidence, because it's not necessarily the case that what he says as backup is actually evidence, but he's very passionate about what he believes, if that makes sense. You know, he will back it up with something, even if you don't like what he backs it up with. For example, if it was, just think of a vague example. So if he was talking about an out-of-body experience, not that he talks about that, but just as an example, you know, he'd say, well, you know, that's my experience, that's what's happened to me. Obviously, I can't prove that to you, but that is what's happened, and he'd say that with gusto and passion. You know, he's an interesting character, let's put it that way. I like Arwen a lot. Often because I disagree, you know, but that's just the way with these things. You know, sometimes you really like the people that you don't agree with. Gem Panda's another example. You know, I really like the guy. I don't agree with him, but that doesn't matter.
I've got a solid hour here.
So again, solid hour of being on.
Yeah, I can be here for an hour.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Got to get it all out of your system yesterday, as did Tim Osman and Gem Panda. It's a globe for this. I just got to sit here and smile.
I actually think I'm gonna do like you and go coffee now, but...
You go coffee now?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll say hello to the chat now that there's actually a bit of participation in your ear. It's just been dead air till now. So, Mr. B, good to see you. Cigar Face, you joined. I didn't mute you. Your mic obviously wasn't working, but feel free to join again if you want to try again. Obviously, Arwen, good to see you. It'd be great if you could join. I'd love to see a conversation between you and Negator. That would make my day. Curved Water, good to see you. Thanks for defending me earlier, much obliged. Charlotte, good to see you as well. Ain't missing personal data at 1,000 miles an hour. Good name. Do you have any poems about the dodo? No, I don't have any poems about dodos. Sorry. Sock of Mr. Poncho Pete Chanstrong. See you. Already said hello to David Quintana, so I'm not going to say hello to every sock. Captain Bullshit, good to see you. John Watson, good to see you. Hello, thanks for being here again. The truth shall set you free, says boring. Well, yeah, initially when there's no one here, it is going to be boring, and I'm not just going to sit and monologue about my beliefs. I'll say this again. If you want to hear my beliefs, go to Nathan Oakley 1980, check out that channel. You'll see plenty of me spouting my rhetoric, my beliefs. You know, there's plenty of it there. But yeah, I'm not just going to sit here and monologue about flat Earth when there's no debate. You know, even when there is one person here, I probably won't engage in too much debating unless it's a necessity. If I could get my tongue around it, a necessity to push the conversation forward. Frequencies illuminated. Good to see you. Yes, you were indeed first. Apart from Hairline Skeptic and one of DQ Socks being quite derogatory to Hillbilly. Thank you all for being here, much obliged. If you've not subscribed, this is a different channel. So this is my backup channel, Nathan Space Oakley. And yes, if you want to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification icon, as you will not see these in the Nathan Oakley feed if you're subscribed to them already. Hello, Arwin. Good to have you.
Hey, Nathan.
Good to see you.
Oh, hold on. Let me mute. Yes.
Just going to level you up, Arwin, so just bear with me a second.
Hey, you're off air.
No, we're on air. It's just that I'm using a Hangout because it's easy to get guests on. So let's just do this first. If you can just keep talking a little bit just so I can get you. Can you say something, Arwin?
Something?
Yeah, just chat for a prolonged period just so I can make your mic about the same level as mine, that's all. How have you been, Arwin? Have you been good?
What do you want to talk about?
Your level's
Is the other
good.
guy still in the room?
He's just going to get a coffee. That's Lewis Hackey. When you get to Hack, I'll introduce you.
All right. So what are you using for the main presentation?
Main what, sorry?
For the main thing.
So
That's
the actual
actually
broadcast's
streaming.
being done via OBS, and all I do is I'm taking a screen capture of my projector, my second screen, just because it seems to be the easiest way to quickly change things. Whatever I see is whatever I see on that screen is what the audience gets on OBS, basically, which is good and bad because the pop-out chat that they give you on OBS, so you can like take the chat that's in the control room and move it around the screen, which is useful. And I'm broadcasting that, but it's no longer moderated. So all the bonuses of having Google moderate it and say, do you want to hide this or not? If you just do nothing on the other channel, because I've programmed it in to have the chat coming through transparent, which doesn't look as good, you don't have any of that problem. Anybody that says a swear word or something that's rude or derogatory or racist just gets modded out and you don't see it. But now you do. It's just there and it says, do you want to hide this? It's like, oh, great. But unfortunately, I just haven't got the time to go and figure out a workaround for now. I just want this to work while it's on the secondary channel. It doesn't have to be 100% polished. It's good enough for now. But yeah, it just means that everyone's comments get through. And on the other hand, who cares? You know, does it really matter?
Well, if
Nice
you
to
have
meet
a
you,
good
man.
moderator in chat, then they can do some damage control.
There is me. But so far, nothing that even is auto-modded I would have batted an eye at. You know, and when there is something I raise an eyebrow to, I'd normally say something to the person saying it. You know, so it doesn't work with everybody, but to a certain degree, if you shame people, they will take heed. If you just ban them, it has the opposite effect. They get annoyed. They want to come back with their other sock, of which they probably have many, or at least a few, and they'll come back in and they'll just cause more havoc or be more rude. So I'd rather just say to somebody who's trolling, look, can you just lay off the cum teeth comments or whatever that they're doing at the time. But half the time that won't work anyway. So what's the point?
No, yeah, it's the three. It's Tim, Shroomy, and Jam Panda. Once you start banning, they even try to like seduce you into banning them just so they get their excuse to bomb you with trolls.
Well, I think they're being sarcastic there, and they don't need an excuse to bomb you, man. If they don't need to be
if
banned.
they see something they really dislike,
Yeah, if they
But
disagree,
when they don't see it, then they
content.
start to like seduce you in like a weird way to
What do
respond to
you?
them.
I don't
So
know
you
what you
get
mean.
fed up with them, and then when you ban them or do whatever, then they start bomb you. But they always need
Well,
their excuse.
I no, I don't think Tim does that anymore. He might have it. I know he used to, but he doesn't. He doesn't snipe because he gets muted in the chat, and he's not baiting people to try and do that.
No, no, I'm not
Uh,
talking about sniping. Just the spamming in chat. The sniping is it's
well,
just
what do you?
dropping.
I mean, what do you mean? Just talking in chat?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, he's just
trolls
disagreeing
in
with
there.
you then. And I mean, they aren't trolls. I wish we wouldn't talk about people this way because it dehumanizes them. No one is here just to piss people off. And even if they are, they have a reason to want to piss people off. And that comes down to a disagreement. And they feel that it's so far away that, well, I'll just piss them off. So, I mean, calling people trolls helps them be trolls. They're seduced into being
Feeding
trolls
trolls helps
in
them.
the same way that you think they seduce you into muting them, or the moderators into muting them. The moderators seduce them into behaving that way. It's a give and take, I think, with
Well,
that.
it's a complicated, like a social little dance in the background. And it's not as obvious as it seems. Like if there are moderators that are not very careful and they start banning these people that are known to be associated with trolls at least, or tend to do
What's
that,
wrong with that?
then they are definitely going to troll you. But you just have to be
What?
careful with your conduct as a moderator. Very careful.
So
That's what
what counts
I've
as
been doing a lot of moderating, and I seem to have found a good balance at it.
so what do you count as like a good trolley comment? Like somebody comes in and just says, "Hey, the Earth's a ball."
No, that's just global free speech.
Oh, well, I've been
If
banned
they're gonna
many
spam it
times.
constantly, yeah, then it's annoying. But if somebody
Well,
just said,
people spam the Earth's flat constantly. That's like a pretty common theme, especially in like Pete's chat. I'm just bringing it up
yeah,
as a
but
kind of
that
example.
it depends on the hangout. If it's in the
Sure.
base narrative of that
But for
hangout,
you, well, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And not you, I'd use you generally. I'm just talking about people who host these hangouts and then say, "Oh, it's an open platform. You can come in and say whatever you want," but then only certain basically then it's just a chat full of wrenches. So,
yeah, well, everybody has their own approach to how to do this and how to. Some people know themselves better than others. So many out there just say, yeah, it's all free, but then they start just banning outright people because they disagree once something. These people just don't know themselves and they're just talking. So,
okay. Well, uh, I've never met you. Do you know I'm Lewis Hackett and you're Arwen?
yes. Yeah, I haven't
All
met
right.
you either. So you
Nice.
do you subscribe to Flat Earth?
No, no, I don't. I think the Earth's a ball.
Oh god. All right.
This is good. It's
Yeah,
good. That's what this whole
I won't
channel's
hold it
for.
against you. Everybody starts out like that.
Oh, no, they don't.
Yeah, I did.
Well, okay, no, yeah, sure. As a child, you do actually start out like that. Before I knew what the shape of the Earth was, I just looked around and was like, oh, seems flat, more or less, so
Mhm.
it's probably just flat everywhere. But then my family went on vacation many times, and through the process of viewing geography and massive pieces of land, it became impossible in my mind that the Earth could be flat because I should be able to see far more than I can.
Why? Don't we have
Um,
a limit to what we can see? How far?
yeah, and it's caused by the physical obstruction of the ground curving away from you.
No, no, it's called perspective.
Yeah, the perspective is behind the curvature.
If you ever looked at distant footage, like during curvature experiments
I
related to
don't I
that,
don't need I have
no,
my
but
own
listen,
eyes.
listen. if you ever looked into zoomed in pictures, things that are far away will just disappear, like mountains, and they can then, even if you move a little closer or whatever, partially appear like like a mirage, basically.
Right, partially
It's
though.
not curving away, it's just
I,
out of reach, and then it disappears.
okay, so
There's no more reflection.
I'll respond. You should be able to see all of the mountain if the Earth's flat, especially if you're from an elevated viewing position anyway. And
Does
if
help,
you're looking,
yes.
if you're looking through a
Elevation.
camera, if you're looking through a camera, they use pixels. And if you're zoomed out, you're going to have this issue where the object you're looking at is smaller than the size of a pixel, so the camera can't generate an image of that. So when you zoom in, it's becoming larger. The angular size of the object is becoming larger than a pixel, so the camera can then generate an image. But we may just disagree on the claim that you should be able to see all of the mountain were the Earth flat, which is my claim.
Well, it
If
all
the Earth
depends
were
on how far away you are, because
sure,
this is just a setting. It's programmed
if
into
you're
our
if you're
into
let's
our
assume
up in our eyes. There's just a limit to how far we can see, and
no, there isn't.
equipment, other equipment like
Why?
cameras have the same thing.
No, there is no limit. There is no limit to how far we can see as long as we can get the light from the object to our eyes. If the
As
light
long as there's
coming off the
sufficient
object,
space to not displace in front of it, as happens after this certain range, things start
sure.
to displace visually, like in both directions. It's very weird.
No, they don't
It
do
causes
that.
these mirages. It's because of perspective. Then if
Over
there's
water,
sufficient space in between, then you will be able to see things like mountains beyond that, but only parts of it as
yeah, it's
coming
because
through, basically.
I would say that you can only see parts of it because it's curving away from you over the curvature of the Earth.
You keep referencing to this, but I haven't.
Yeah, that's because it's what it is in my
It's there in a
experience.
straight line. There's just, after a certain
It's not a straight
distance,
line.
you get the visual distortion effect, the bending away, and
Over
ending
water,
up,
you get that. Over water,
and the
you get that.
mirages. It's not curvature. It's all
You get
straight line. If there
listen.
was a curvature, then you would see some kind of curve from left to right. You never do that. It's only away from you.
No, you would not expect to see curvature left or right. And it is like you said in the second statement,
If it's a
away
ball,
from
then
you.
there
It's
should
away from you. Everything on a ball is away from you. In the same exact way.
there should
Everything
be
curves away from
noticeable
you.
difference in the far distance. If
No,
it's
there
a ball.
shouldn't.
If it's a
No.
ball,
There shouldn't.
yes, there should.
The ground is curving away from you at the same rate in all directions.
Do you even know how much
you should expect to
curvature
see a line?
there
You should
should
expect
be?
to see
Do
a
you
line.
know how much curvature there should be?
Yes.
And how much is that?
It's approximately 8 inches per mile squared.
Okay, so you're saying that within 1 mile, there should be at least 1 inch of curvature, and that accumulates.
From ground level,
Yes,
from ground level,
right?
from ground.
Can I please? I'm trying to answer.
You asked me right. You asked me a question and then said right, but whatever. Finish talking.
Okay. So, if you're looking during the day in a very clear sky, not much moist in the air, and you're overlooking like the Nevada desert, for example, you see extremely far away. At the edge of your vision there, when you roughly size it up, how much you're seeing there in the distance, that could be like at least 20 miles probably when it's really bright, right? Like
No.
fast, this you can see like
No.
very small trees, all that stuff. It must be
No.
fast what you can see
From ground level,
in that
no.
distance. No?
You can't see 20 miles anywhere on the planet from ground level, especially no, well, if it's over water you can.
I'm not
Ground
talking
level, no.
Nah, but look, the Nevada desert, there's like the rocky place beside. You're looking from the mountains over it, okay?
Oh, from the mountains you can see for hundreds
If
of
there's
miles.
vast enough distance at the edge of our vision, then that's a vast distance.
No, if
miles,
you're up high enough.
several miles, right?
If you're up high enough, you can see
look,
that
dude,
far. It's about your
Can you
altitude.
possibly on this earth somewhere see huge distances
Yeah.
of land within one site?
Yeah, sure. But
Then
you have
why
to be up
don't you
really
see
high.
that curve? Why don't you see that curve
You
accordingly?
do. You do see the curve. When you go up higher than a mountain, you got to go up a lot higher than the mountain to see the curve.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, it does. That is literally the only thing that has anything to do with it is how
No, I'm
high you
talking
are.
about distances. You're now referencing
Yes,
to
the
some
distance
effect
you
that
can
you're
see,
supposedly gonna see when you're really high
Arwen,
up. I'm saying
Arwen, the distance you can see is a direct function of how high you are.
I'm okay. True, it's related.
Directly related.
Yeah,
There are
okay.
no
Whatever
other
rectally,
relations.
anally related, I don't care. I'm talking about distance measured from left to right within your view.
Sure. If you
And
can
there
see
is a
69
possibility
miles,
from anywhere that you can see a vast distance,
yeah.
several miles.
If the distance in your horizon is 69 miles, there's 1 degree of curvature for every 69 miles. So theoretically, if you bring a straight edge, you ought to be able to
Can
see that
somebody
1 degree.
confirm that? 1 degree of curvature for 69 miles?
Yes, over the horizon, which is the type of viewing that you're talking
And
about,
so
right?
this 1 degree is, yeah, on a
It's you
360
can't really
degree
even see
scale,
it.
that's not a lot. But
Yeah, you
how
wouldn't even be
much
able to
would
see
that
that
be? How much would that be in a vertical distance,
in
considering
vertical
the Earth
distance.
being a globe? 1 degree, how much vertical distance would that be?
Well, it would
Literally.
be about 8 inches.
No,
Well, yeah, because
that's
69, the
ridiculous.
square root of 69.
No, that's 1 mile.
The square root of 69 is, come on, do the square root calculator. It's 8.3, so it's going to be about 8.3 miles or 8.3 inches difference from the center of the 1 degree bulge to the edges. If you were able to measure that up, but you're standing really far
No,
back. You
no,
can't see
that
69
doesn't
miles
make any
standing really
sense. No,
close to it.
eight
No, it
inches
does
for
make sense, man.
69 miles, 8 inches. No, you seriously, I think you
No,
calculated
look, it's the
wrong.
difference. It's the difference in the center of the bulge. When you're looking out at the horizon, you see 69 miles and you see that 1 degree of curvature. The 8 inches is the difference in height from the center of your field of view to the edges of those 69 miles. It's not the difference from one point of the edge to the other point.
All right, so it's only away from you.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's not what a ball is. That's what a
No, yeah, it is.
toroid is. That's what a cone is. All that stuff.
Okay, man.
A ball actually is curving in two directions. What I'm saying
It's
is,
curving
if
in
you're overseeing a piece of
curving
land
in more than
that's
two.
very fast, then you should see within that giant span flat land. You should see more than 8 inches. That's
Well, you can't look.
absolutely ridiculous.
Can
It
you
should be
see? Can you
fast.
can you tell the difference? If you had something that was if you had a ruler stick and you stuck it next to a skyscraper, could you even see the ruler stick? No. Why are you expecting to see 8 inches per mile squared in the context of tens of thousands of inches?
Look, I'm calculus is not my strongest point, so I'm trying to
Yeah,
get this
calculus isn't
formula
even part
right
of this.
here. 8 inches mile
Sorry.
squared. So would that be like 69 squared, and then 8 inches
No.
per that
No.
distance?
Look, you're saying that you expect to be able to see 8 inches per mile as the Earth goes, but how
Because
many
that
inches
would
are in
be
a mile?
38,000
How many
inches.
inches? Yeah, exactly. How
Okay, then
are you?
it's 38. How much? How many mile? How much
No.
inches do
Stop.
fit in a? Can I
Slow
please
down.
finish the calculation? I'm trying to get
You
it
don't
right.
even know what you're calculating. We're not even on the same page right now. Why do you need to do that? Let's get on the same page. All right. I don't think if you were to hold a ruler up to a mile, right? You got 1 foot. A mile's 5,280 feet. You wouldn't even be able to see that ruler if
Yeah.
you were also able to see that entire mile, because the ruler is just too small.
I know.
So why are you expecting to see
Be-
curvature when the
because it
amounts
is
of
the
curvature are
both.
so
It's
much
cumulative.
smaller?
It's cumulative. That's what I'm talking about. On 1
Yeah,
mile,
how
it's just
tall are
1
you?
inch. But
How
when you
tall are
put
you?
several next to each other, then the curve
Yes,
should become
even
more
with the
apparent,
second.
and the
No,
overall average
it's not going to
distance
be more
should be.
apparent. It's not going to be more apparent. You have to get really, really high, not, altitude. It's
No,
just,
you shouldn't have to go that high.
yes,
No, if the
yes.
air is cleared up, then you can see much further without the distortions.
No, the air doesn't cause that kind of distortion.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
How do you know?
Because I've seen rolling footage of air
Okay,
moist
why don't
within
you
a bit.
go use your
Listen to
eyes?
me,
Why don't you go
please.
use your
Please
eyes?
let me
Stop
make
using
the
the
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
pixelated
both of you,
camera.
both of
Let
you.
me
Just take a
freaking
breath.
finish the
Whoa, whoa.
argument.
There's no time restraints here. Just take a breath. Calm down. Each of you, both, just leave a gap between each point and address it. You've
Air
got
moist
no
makes
time
a
restraints.
difference. And I've seen proof of this with live footage, time-lapsed of a bay. There's one period, there's clear sky, there's no air moist. You can see how it apparently seems to curve. Then at another point, clouds move in, it becomes very misty, and you can see the curve directly changing. It like literally going down. The land, not the sea or anything, the land. You can see how the air moist, the air thickness actually optically changes what you get to see. That's
Yeah,
proof, live proof on
yeah.
video.
I know that that's provable, but that's not what people are talking about when they're talking about
Yeah,
distortion
that's what I'm
and
talking about.
obstruction of the curvature. That's not at all what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, then we're not on the same page, just like I said. I'm going to go get my coffee. I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, sorry to check you, Arwen, and for that matter, Lewis, because it's just people can't hear you. You've both got points to make, and I just want people to hear them, regardless if you agree or disagree with each other. So long as your points can be heard, and when you're passionate about it, I'm not going to interrupt. But when you're talking over each other, it's just neither of you are going to get your points across to anybody. You're just going to end up in a heated argument that's cut by Google Plus, and that's no good for anybody. So my apologies. I don't mean to, I don't want to be too heavy-handed in my moderation, and you're having a really good conversation. Just try and keep it calm, because neither of you are enemies. Lewis doesn't hate you. You don't hate Lewis. You've just got a contrary opinion to each other. But try and express it calmly.
As long as I can just finish my points when I'm actually making them, that would be nice.
I agree, but by the same token, you can tell him that, and he can tell you the same. Just take a breath.
He just keeps deflecting on like it's not what we're talking about. That stuff. It's
but you
just
can.
a distraction.
I've seen it so many times. I've said it with Gem Panda does it all the time. Here, I'm going to turn my camera back on. He runs out of steam eventually. In other words, unless you're under some sort of time constraint where you've got to get away, then come back when you've got more time. But as long as you understand that there is no time restraint here, then you can stop, let whoever else is getting heated at the same time as you get to the end of their spiel. Usually, they will then, they'll run out of steam, stop, and then you can start talking. If they then interrupt, you can point it out to them, usually much more calmly, because you have stopped. And this goes for everybody. Same applies to Lewis. When Arwen's winding you up, just stop. Let him get to the end of his spiel, and then you will more likely calmly address whatever he's just said. And then if, vice versa, if Arwen was to interrupt Lewis, it's easier to point out that that's the case. But, just better to get your points across is all I'm trying to say. And I'll shut up now.
Where are we?
Yeah, I hope I got my point across, or at least the direction I was taking things with you, Nathan.
Well, I understood your point, but it has nothing to do with seeing curvature, and had nothing to do with my personal experiences in life when I've seen curvature.
All right.
My experiences were more like you're on the ground and you're thinking about, okay, why can't I see further, right? So there's a limit to my distance, and so I'll go up higher, and now I can see further. And the air isn't so much cleaner. Like, it's not that much further. It's only like 20, 30 feet higher. So you're not like breaking through huge barriers of vision obstruction from dirty atmosphere. And the atmosphere on a normal day, especially the stiller it is, it's not like there. You can see much further than the horizon, but the horizon's in the way, so it blocks you from seeing further. And that's why
what
you
the
can see.
horizon is.
No, the horizon is the curve of the Earth.
Convergence point. It's where things block it out. Where there's the apparent edge because things just block
From
it out.
what? From what's point of view?
From the observer's point of view.
Yeah, that's the edge. And if you go up higher, that distance between you and the horizon gets bigger. It increases.
Yeah.
And that's because
more gets revealed behind it.
Yeah, and that's not because of the atmosphere. It's because you're able to see further over the curve.
No, it's because of the angle. The angle has
Yeah,
changed.
your angle changes and you can see over the curve now because you have a higher angle. If the Earth were flat, your angle relative to the horizon would never change. Ever.
Okay.
So an example of, I mean, taking an airplane ride and just watching it at the whole time, watching how much further you get to see the whole time. If you
I've been in one, so I know how that looks like.
Well then, I
Personal
mean,
plane with no curvy windows or anything.
yeah. Well then I don't see what your hiccup is. If we've seen the same thing, then we've seen the same thing. We just disagree about what we're seeing, and it's that simple.
No, well, it's funny now that I bring it up because at the time I was a very solid globe believer, but was very dissociating for me to experience this because I couldn't see. I was a very clear day, and that made it much harder to visualize a globe over what I was seeing basically at the time.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
I mean,
it gave me a headache. But looking back at it, yeah, it was absolutely. I was looking on a square basically. Just a very big flat. Hey, it's in the Netherlands, so it's very level. There's not much land curved. There's no hills really here.
Have you ever, something I thought about when I was real young was, if I were the size of a germ, right? How big would a mile be in relation to me? So like, let's see, I'm like 3 feet tall. A mile's 5,280 feet.
Okay.
Or I'm like 6 feet tall. Excuse me. 5,280 divided by 6 is 880 feet. So 880 times the size of a germ. That's not very much. That's still basically microscopic. Shoot, that doesn't help very much. But, you know, it's an interesting concept. But a germ, you know, even that tiny little distance, you know, if you put a germ on a ball, like even a golf ball, it's not going to be able to see around it.
Hey, we got
The sick
goblin
ninja.
got a goblin in the room.
All right, got someone with a mask on. Happy Halloween. You'll get it, dude. You'll get it. You'll get it. Nice. Finally got that.
Cheers.
I muted the wrong person. I meant to mute Shroomy or whatever his name is.
Okay.
Ninja. Sorry, Lewis.
I was worried there for a second. Well, that was interesting. I suppose he's telling us that he doesn't care about the conversation.
Yeah, I'm happy for people like hopefully with time, people like Ninja will join and stay, and not just light his smoke and go. But good, thank you for joining us. I think that was that the Seeking Ninja.
Looked like it.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. I've never ever had him on a show, and he makes so many good videos. I've mirrored a few of them. Yeah, good to have you here. Thank you for coming. If that's your input, good to have you here.
So I mean, yeah, our basic. I mean, I don't expect to see curvature that's like that anybody could just be like, oh, look at the obvious curvature and follow it with their finger. It's far too large for that. And if you were, say, the height of the Burj Khalifa, your horizon would still be a line around you. It would still follow a line because the horizon is equidistant away from you. And the amount that it's curving away from you is equivalent. So it creates a line. So I explained this yesterday, and I've explained it to Dell. Try it again. If you imagine that you're standing on a really big circle, a circle that's so big that it just extends out in front of you and it just looks like a line, but way out there, it's starting to curve very gradually over, and eventually it'll wrap back up around and come around behind you. But it just looks like a line. So now color it. Color the circle in your mind so that as you go up, you can see more colors between you. And then if you expand this circle all the way out into a ball, a sphere, it creates your horizon line. You're just real small. That's it.
Man, you should talk to Vsauce, man.
Vsauce doesn't need me. Vsauce don't need me.
No, but yeah, you got the compliment, all right. Because yeah, all these curvature references, they're starting to nauseate me, really. So I'm
Well,
not
we can
gonna
talk
stop
about
you
something
from
else if you
using
want.
that. Just it's just wrong.
We can talk about something else.
That would be great.
Do you like, I mean, I guess, do we want to stay on the shape of the earth? Because I feel like talking about capitalism versus communism would be reasonably interesting, or
Yeah.
we could stay on the shape of the earth. It says flat earth debate, so I guess, yeah, that's pretty much an answer. Title. Let me see. Space. I'd like to go there one day. I think it'd be cool. A lot of people.
I tried
I've,
it as well.
I've heard a lot of people say they think there's water up there. What do you think's up there?
No. I think there's nothing up there. There's just a lot of air. It just keeps on going until there's nothing but hydrogen and then plasma and then don't know
So why
what
is it
else is
black?
up there.
Why is it black at night?
Because there's no light. There's no daylight.
So you think the sun is below the blackness?
I don't think the sun is a physical object.
Yeah, but nonetheless, there's a big bright light in the sky. Do you think that big bright light in the sky is below the blackness?
It's within our perspective.
As is the blackness. So are the stars and everything. Those are all
Yep.
within our perspective too. So do you think that they are within the light?
Within the what?
The light. I asked why it was black in the sky, and you said because there's no light up there. So when the sun's up there, it's getting rid of it's casting light. So how small do you think this system is?
I don't think that the daylight is caused really by the sun.
Oh. Why?
Well, because the daylight is parallel and the sun is an apparent disk that's at a virtual distance. It just appears to be at a certain distance. And the way I figured it out, it's at the epicenter of the universal daylight direction, but it's not literally a physical disk that is the origin of the light itself. It's just an optical effect.
Wow.
And yeah, well,
If you're just going to assert that the sun is just kind of a distraction and something else is making the light,
yeah,
that's great,
definitely.
man. But that's a very complicated explanation for very simple observations that we have in our life. So I mean, I don't even feel like I need to address specific points. I can just say that the simplest explanation is often the best, and so you should find a simpler one, because there are simpler ones that
Yeah,
also
but
explain
they
the
can be
same
very
observations
simple.
we
But
have.
if it's filled up with all kinds of nonsense,
Well, there are
kinds of
what nonsense?
illusory assumptions, then
What
you're gonna miss
nonsense?
the entire picture altogether. You're gonna have a model, but it's gonna have holes in it. You're gonna assume that it's just perfect, but it's not, and it's never gonna be because it's filled up with holes,
Like what?
like what the entire flat Earth movement has been talking about for over 2 years.
Well, I've been following you for about a year, and I gotta tell you, every single one of your holes is pretty easily plugged up.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Give me a hole, I'll plug it up.
Vacuum cannot exist outside of a strictly physically contained area. It's naturally impossible.
Here on Earth, sure.
No,
But we have an atmosphere here.
in matter, in matter space, it's impossible.
Here on Earth, yes. In space, no.
That's it's the same place according to heliocentric logic. It's
It's
one spatially linear undivided room according to the heliocentric model.
yeah, there's
You can't make a distinguish it with here on
yeah,
Earth and out of there. It's
yeah, you
one
can.
place. You
Yeah, you
can't
can.
have your vacuum and eat it too, okay?
Look, my room is one place and your room is one place, right? If my room didn't have any air in it, you wouldn't say that it was the same. Like it would be there's clearly a difference in what's able to be done in one place versus the other. So in space, the air is pulled towards the Earth, and the amount of air that is on the Earth is constricted by its volume. And I'm going to use gravity is the reason for why it
Yeah, and
stays
it's
there.
an insult to science because
Well, I don't think
gravity
it is
is
an
real,
insult.
but
I don't think it's
gravitational
an insult
pull
at all.
is
I
a
think it's an
grafted
insult.
lie. There's no proof
Arwen, for what
that
it's
matter is attracted to other
Arwen,
matter outside
Arwen,
of
for what it's
electrostatic
worth,
force and all
it's an
that stuff.
insult. It's insult for you as someone who hasn't done science to
Oh, please. I have
say
done
things like
plenty
this.
of science. You're
Oh, name an
collecting
experiment. Name an
vulgarities.
experiment you've done. Name a discovery you've made. Name a prediction that you've made that will come true.
Well, the holographic heavenly bodies, I predicted that year ago.
Oh,
Uh,
and you proved
and I
that? How'd you
wasn't
prove
even
that?
too sure what I
How'd you
was
prove
talking
that?
about then yet, but
How
the
did you prove that?
uh, I predicted that the sun would not be triangulatable, that it would not be in a
It is
specific
triangulatable.
location over the flat Earth, as everyone was assuming at the time, at first
Well,
hand,
your
and
setup
it
is wrong
doesn't
from the
line up with the
get-go.
globe
Right.
heliocentric stuff either. So,
You can't,
plenty of
dude,
discussions
you
about
can't
this going
just,
on right now. Can you ever
Arwen,
please not interrupt me?
you're already wrong. There isn't a conversation for us to have here, man.
No, I know, I know.
You have a perspective of the world that is so much different than mine.
Yeah, no shit.
It's ridiculous, okay?
It
You
is
can't just go
ridiculous.
around asking questions and then later make up an answer and say it was science.
The scientific method.
That's
Just
not the scientific method.
scientific method is just using observation, using measurement and lining it up, making sure that it works according to prediction.
No.
And then when it does and can be repeatable, then you got science. That is what the scientific
No.
method is all about.
Science is recognizing a problem, creating a hypothesis based on the problem. Well, no, you got to do a bunch of research. Hypothesis step 3. And then you do an experiment to try and prove yourself wrong. You try and prove yourself wrong, Arwen. Sorry, Nathan.
That's all right. It's all good. You had a really good conversation. Very, very entertaining.
I hope you chuckled. I hope the audience enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm sure. You've probably not got that much long. You probably chewed up your hour that you had spare. Didn't actually keep a specific time on it. So.
Dang. Yeah, oh man, that was quick.
Exactly.
Wow, what's is that a little girl?
Yes, Eleanor. Say hello.
Eleanor.
Time flies when you're having fun, as they say.
Well, congratulations on being a father. I hope to join the ranks one day.
Yeah. Hopefully be well behaved. You want the microphone? Yeah. Go on then. Off you go. Go to mommy. Got your shoes on. That's right, yes. What's that you say? The earth is flat. That's right. Well done.
Piss off.
Coolio. How long has this show been running? Let's just have a quick look.
Bit, I don't know. I've been here almost my time. Yeah, with science, you're trying to prove yourself wrong all the time, and if you can't, that's when you know you've found something. And then you send it off to other people to try and prove yourself wrong, because you are always the variable in that. Okay, so you do the experiment again and again and again and again and again, and you change it a little bit every time to rule out various variables until you are the only variable left. And then you send it off to other people so that they can do the exact same thing you did until they are the only variable left. And if all of you, having isolated yourself as the only variable involved, get the same result, you can be reasonably confident in what you found. And I mean, the only science that we get in the world today is science that makes people money. And so that's why flat earth science isn't taken off, because it's not going to make people money. Sorry. I don't think anyway. Come on, I'm trying to trigger people into getting in here. Chris Truthseeker, you're on the troll list, David. Man, why is there a list?
You're on Chris Truthseeker's list, did you just say?
He's talking to DQ, but...
Oh, right. Made the list.
Yeah. I'm probably on the list too, honestly, but I don't know. Oh, no, I emailed Chris Truthseeker the other day. I asked to be unbanned in his chat, and he did unban me, so... But I haven't been in there in a while, so...
I think I've ever done that. When people ban me, you just think, if you don't want me there, fine, I just won't be here.
I wish I could content myself to be that way, but I'm just got too much time on my hands.
Say a few hellos, Captain Bullshit. Good to see you. Fat Girth and other thought Pat Aho. Very creative. New perspective, good to see you. Charlotte's been giving lots of approval to this show. Thank you very much. And oh yeah, I should really say a big thank you to Arwen. Thank you for coming on, Arwen. Much obliged. Really appreciate it. that the real Chris Trueseeker? Because if so, even if not, you are welcome to join. No subscribers. No, probably not. Nick L, good to see you. Negator. I was hoping that would be Negator and Arwin chatting. No offense to you, but it's just
No.
their interactions. They're on. I'm going to use the heliocentric terminology here. They're on different planets, just different planets.
Well, I'll try and stay out. I'll stay out in the morning on your next show. And well, I mean, I don't know. People can come in as they like. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, in these early stages, though, I've got to encourage them. It's a new show. It's on a small channel that's got hardly any subscribers, so going to encourage you all. Roger MC, good to see you. John Watson, good to see you. Hopefully, some of these faces that I mean, I don't know. John Watson may have done Hangouts, but I've not seen them if he has. Jason Campbell, good to see you. You know, hopefully these people will come on and state their opinions. But there's going to be gaps. There's going to be places where there's no one on. Like this morning, there was 15 minutes of dead air, and you think, well, that's 15 minutes where somebody could have just come on and spout their rhetoric and said, "This is how I see it." And then, as soon as someone like you comes on, they can just go. You know, and essentially that is dedicated to tape, unopposed, like you yesterday. You know, everything you said was completely unchallenged by anybody. See you later, hun.
I hope you choke and you're sick, Mark Taylor. Oh, guys. I mean, I agree that the beliefs can make me feel sick too, but I don't think we should necessarily say that. Well, I can only speak for myself. I don't like to talk about that because it has the potential of distancing you from people that, I don't know, maybe in the long run it might have been to your benefit to not be distanced from them. Oh no. I feel like a monster. Cheers, Daniela.
It might help if I had my mic off mute. There'd normally be periods where on the regular show where I've got total silence, so it's all very slick. Whereas doing it like this, you occasionally see my kid come in interview and stuff, and you think, why fight it? Just let it happen. It's not going to be as slick as your main show.
Where do you find the scripts for your OBS chat to auto reject certain comments and things like that?
It's just something that's been implemented by YouTube. So it's just sprung up in your Creator Studio. It just says it will be now moderated. If you click got it, it just happens. So there is no script to do it.
Huh. I'll have to look more into that. I've been able to like make my chats clear and change the fonts and colors and things like that, but I have to go to another website and find a script that somebody's written for that, and then I can modify things.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah, so for instance, on the other channel, I had gone to the effort of getting a script. I just nicked someone else's to get the chat to go transparent. I see what you're saying now. Yes, what you're seeing on screen now is just the pop-out chat, and that pop-out chat, which is part of YouTube, is all controlled by YouTube. As far as I know, you can't change any of the scripts for it. Whereas in OBS, you can. Yeah, you can do what you like with the script. So I just normally just type it into YouTube and find someone who's got a link or the info or the script itself in the info box, and I just nick that.
So but on your other channel, do you have something in that script that automatically confirms or denies certain messages that YouTube's asking you about here?
No, the source is just the same source code that you would have for the chat in general, but when it takes that source code, it's taking it from the one that would be broadcast, therefore it does actually take the moderated view rather than the unmoderated pop-out chat.
Oh, that's much simpler. Okay.
Yeah, it was dead
Okay.
easy. I should really do it for this, but just it's one of those. I can't be bothered. You know, this is technically. I might do 5, I might do 10 on this channel just to see how it goes. But having done the sun tracking, I'd spent pretty much 48 hours solid doing these hangouts. So in terms of what can happen, I don't want to say I've seen it all. I definitely haven't, but I've seen a lot of what can happen. And half the time, it's pointless fighting it. So yesterday, it was hysterical. You had a troll. I don't know who it is, but somebody pretended to be Jamie Brown. And yeah, I've seen it half a dozen times. But it still made me laugh. And there's no point in stopping that person doing it. You might as well just let them troll. Same with Tim Osman. And with Tim Osman, he's... You know, I've got to take my hat off to him in terms of the type of trolling he does. Because he's trolling on multiple levels. You know, he's trolling some Indian scammer, some tech support scammer. And he's joined the show. He hasn't said a word because he's obviously trying to get that scammer to bite. And when he finally gets one, he gives Math Powerland's name and starts to broadcast it. And you're like, he's worked on this bit. You know, this has taken some effort for him to troll this many levels multiply on this live stream. And you just think, well, if he can do it, it's, at best, it's going to be 2 minutes of airtime. And it's not going to be... It's nothing like him doxing people or porn bombing. It's nothing like that. It's far more... well, funny for a start, but it takes a lot of effort to do something like that. And we had some, no offence to him, but some arsehole. It was just like talking over it, ruining the jape. It's like, well, he's planned this jape. He's gone to some effort to do it. Gem Panda played along and started talking to the tech support scammer. But as soon as the other guy, forgotten his name, Inglorious Bastard, as soon as he started to interrupt, the tech scammer knew the game and was like, you know, don't do prank calls here. And you're like, oh, you've just ruined it. What? There was no need. We could have had 5 minutes of just, you know, Tim probably spent 20 minutes. You know, it's not like I like Tim and want to be his buddy and want to help him. None of that. It's just, I can see the effort that's gone into that particular troll. For 2 minutes of airtime, why interrupt him? Just let him do his thing. It's funny.
It's quite a unique troll. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've learned so many different trolling techniques from Tim Osman. Most people don't. They just react to them. And whereas I go, wow, cool trolling technique. I'll nick that. Thanks very much.
Well, I guess I'll get out of here. I'll leave you to it. And have a good day.
Thanks again, Lewis. Absolute pleasure. With that, I'll give another plug to what's going on. So if you are currently in this live stream live chat, you can click on the info box and join the actual live stream to air your views about the shape of the Earth. Obviously, I have my bias, so as you probably noticed if you were tuned into the debate between Lewis Hackett and Arwin, that I won't interject, regardless of whether or not I agree or disagree with the points. That said, and I will clarify this, the first sort of addition to what I will go through as the rules in a moment. That is to say that I will, if I choose to, interject. It's not that I am going to sit here mute permanently just for the sake of sitting here permanently mute. My primary objective is to keep the show moderate and to stop people talking over each other, ad hominem attacks. Occasionally I may point out a logical fallacy if there are any that are blatant and, I don't know, if it suits the timing of the show. In other words, if no one else is pointing it out and it's just being, you know, allowed to propagate. But in these initial stages, in these initial shows, I've got really no desire to moderate anything. If there's a newbie that's being bested with a fallacious argument, so be it. You know, it's not going to be me. You don't appeal to me to defend you just because I'm a flat earther and you're a flat earther. Same goes for the globe heads. If you can't think of the heliocentric debunking for whatever flat earth argument's being put forward, don't look to me. You know, I won't give it you even if I know it, because that's not going to really be my place. Again, I'll qualify by that saying, if I want to, I will. You know, I'm not just going to be told by the guests that, well, aren't you going to keep your mouth shut? If I choose to, I will open my mouth. You know, I'm not going to be told not to say anything on my own damn show. So that just to qualify. But yes, if you do want to join the show, click on the link in the info box below this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button because this is actually my backup channel. So this is not Nathan Oakley 1980, my main channel. Subscribe to that if you've not done so already. But if you're new to Nathan Oakley with a space in between, just Nathan space Oakley channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. The only reason to do this is so that we have an open platform for debate. So all are welcome. Everyone can join. We had, let's get this right in terms of his naming, the Seeking Ninja, who I have a lot of respect for and makes a lot of good material which I enjoy watching. Join the show just to light his smoke and then disappear. And if that's your input into the show, then more power to you. If that's what you want to do, then fine. Same goes for the sock of Jamie Brown yesterday. I can only apologise if you can hear clattering in the background at the moment. But yeah, so sock of Jamie Brown came in just to troll Jamie. He got his 2 minutes of fame, if you want to call it that, and then he was booted. But it was amusing while he was here, and he had his opportunity to do so. And fortunately for him, nobody interrupted him doing so. In fact, Jamie Brown Sock had somebody playing along in the form of Gem Panda, so check that out. I've decided that I will link them on each of the channels, so Oakley Cord, Nathan Space Oakley, and Nathan Oakley 1980 will have all of these debates linked at the top of the channel in Flat Earth Thoughts, so you can find a quick reference to them there. But yeah, in the meantime, what I think I will do is I will switch off my camera, or probably not switch off my camera, but transition across to the photographs. And the photos are just there as a placeholder while there are no guests, so that I don't have to incessantly monologue about my beliefs. If you do want to hear my beliefs in terms of the shape of the Earth, feel free to check those out on Nathan Oakley 1980. And again, if you feel the need to point out that I'm not challenging anybody, and I should be doing so because I'm a flat earther, then your views are welcome, but by the same token, that won't necessarily be what you see on this channel. If you want to see me debating people like Gem Panda and whoever else, you know, I've debated a whole number of them and mirrored them if they've been done on other people's channels. Those are all available on Nathan Oakley 1980 if you do want to see me going toe to toe with some of the guests that are debating each other on this particular platform. So yes, with that, as I say, I will transition across to my photographs, and hopefully we'll get somebody joining the show before we round out, maybe in, I hope we give it about half an hour.
Where all my dudes at in this mug? What up, Nene? Bitch ass motherfucker, nigga.
Might help if I did that off mic. Good to see you, DQ. Thank you for popping by. Feel free to stay next time.
Support. This side David. How can I help you?
Hey, I'm having troubles with my computer.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm having troubles with my computer.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm having troubles with my computer.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm able to hear you right now. Can you please repeat, sir? What were you saying?
Yes, I'm having troubles with my computer.
Like, what is the problem with your computer?
I have the Flat Earth Sophism Psyop Trojan Horse meme on my computer. Some kind of a virus.
Okay. And may I know what exactly you were doing since you got that message?
Oh yeah, I was watching Patricia Steer basically do damage control on the Potato Show, and Mark Sargent was there, and everybody knows that he's an absolute shill. I don't know why they were trying to say otherwise, but yeah. Then I got the flat Earth sophism psyop Trojan horse meme on my virus.
Okay. So, sir, actually, we need to check it out where the exact problem is. Only then I'll be able to assist you. So you need to follow a troubleshooting guide for it. So what you need to do, you have to look at the very bottom left of your keyboard. And can you tell me which key you are able to see at the very bottom left?
Yes.
What do you see onto your keyboard at the very bottom left?
Oh, it's the control key.
Okay. Right next to it, which key you are able to see after control key?
I see the function key.
Okay. After that, do you see a four flag icon key? The Windows key, are you able to see that? The four squares key?
Oh, the sys key. The sys key, yeah, the system key. Yep, I see that.
I'm saying, are you able to see the four square icon key, the Windows key?
Oh, yes, the sys key. Yep, the system key. Yep, I see that.
Yeah, do you see the Windows key, right? The four square key?
Yes. Can I get you to push the Windows key and then push R? The letter R is in Romeo.
Yes,
Okay, so go
yes,
ahead and
you
do
have to
that.
do
So
that.
what do you see on
Please
your
press the
screen
Windows key with
now?
the letter R.
Oh, okay, thanks. So what do you see on your screen now?
But what are you able to see onto your screen right now?
I'm able to see basically that some people believe that the Earth is a sphere and some people believe that it's flat. So they have debates about it, but we all know that the Earth is a sphere. Do you believe that the Earth is a sphere, or do you think it's flat?
Sir, I can only assist you with your computer problems. What are you asking me?
Oh, I was asking you if you think that the Earth is a sphere or if it's a flat Earth.
Sir, you need to press that Windows key with the letter R. What questions you are asking me?
It actually, in the run dialog box after I did that, it's asking me if the Earth is a sphere or if the Earth is flat.
Just clear that box. Just clear that box.
So what do you think, though? I mean, what do you think about the Earth's sphericity or if it's flat?
Sir, I can only assist you with your computer problems. What kind of questions you are asking me?
I'm asking you what you think the
What is the
shape.
exact?
What do you think the shape of the Earth is? Where we all stand. Do you think it's a sphere or do you think it's flat?
What you need to do with that?
What I need to do with that is make a distinction between people that live in India, and I seem to think that a lot of them think that the Earth is flat because I've talked to a couple of them, like the tech scammers and shit. Like,
Okay, sir.
what do you think?
Then, sir, maybe it's flat.
Ah,
Maybe it will
see,
be flat.
all right. Well, you know what? Nathan Oakley will definitely like to hear that. Thank you so much for clearing that up. So now can I get you to push the Windows key and R, okay? And then go ahead and type in iExplorer, okay? Go ahead and type that in.
Sir, do you want me to help you out or not?
Yes. So you think the Earth is flat?
Okay, as you are not interested, I'm hanging up the call. I
Hey,
can't
stop
help you.
scamming people, okay? Stop scamming people. Go get a new job, you clown. You banchoed. You might have chawed. Thanks for playing with Timmy. This has been Timothy Usman.
That was awesome. Thank you for that, Tim Osman. Very amusing while I was making my coffee. Subscribe now to Hoax Hotel for more fakery and tech support scammer calls. I don't know if any of you have seen the Hoax Hotel, but I must admit it does crack me up when you get these people that can lead a tech scammer on forever. So while Tim was doing that, I was thinking, how could you work it in? How could you work things into it while he's got his, run box up? And you say, well, I've gone to the run box and I've gone to clear it, but it keeps taking me to Patricia Steers, Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. What do I do? Well, just clear the box. I have. Now it's gone to Mark Sargent's channel. What do I do? What do I do? It keeps telling me the Earth is flat. That's how I'd let it. But there we go. It's easy to criticise, and frankly, that I probably would never have been able to pull that off the way Tim Osman did it. And it was better that he had no interruptions this time, because last time, as I said earlier, Inglorious Bastard was just continually interrupting him. Ruined the jape completely. Should use this as another plug opportunity, I suppose. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to join the show, click on the link at the bottom of the info box. They will be updated for each of the shows and left in. So if you did want to practice joining a show, if you've never done it before, go to one of the old shows. There will be a link there, and you can click on that link to join the old dead hangout. So you can see exactly how it works and what the process is, so you can join future shows. If you're new to me, Nathan Oakley, be sure to subscribe to my main channel, Nathan Oakley 1980. Again, a link is in the info box below this video for videos on Flat Earth in general, my general opinions and views on that subject, and video logs, some tracking experiment, all that sort of stuff is on my main channel, Nathan Oakley 1980. So click on the video link in the info box below this video to subscribe there, and subscribe to Nathan Oakley if you want to keep up to date with these debates. I'll hopefully be putting them out reasonably regularly. I'm not going to have any schedule whatsoever. I'll just do it as and when the moment takes me, and keep them running as long as I see fit. So there's not going to be certainly not going to be a 24-hour feed from this channel, but yeah, you'll periodically see the well, you will if you click that notification bell. You'll see the notifications that these are running should you want to join, and if you're subscribed, it should show up in your feed. So yeah, hopefully there'll be a few more subscribers to this channel as a consequence of doing these debates. My intention is to run maybe 5, possibly 10, just to get to grips with doing these shows like this. The hardest thing is probably biting my tongue and not actually interrupting people like Arwin and Lewis when they're debating, because you want to get your blows in. But I've done that, as I said earlier. If you want to check out my debating talent, or lack thereof, you can see it on Nathan Oakley 1980. But as I keep saying, this isn't really the purpose of me being here, but I do reserve the right to put my opinion in on my own show. So should it be what's the word? Should it make sense to do so, or should it move the conversation on, or if there's a bit of dead air, that's kind of what I want to inject into these things. Good though, Andrea Sensei's channel was when there was dead air, or if there was even 4 people on the panel and they just run out of things to talk about, it would just kind of be the end of the conversation until somebody came up with something new, or they shot the breeze, small talk. I'm hoping to just interject when there are those moments, and it might be that I put my controversial opinion forward just to get that conversation going and then run away, just hoping that it will leave the conversation to flow, without necessarily defending my point. So yeah, I may come under criticism from some people for doing it in that way, but that's how I feel it is the best way to do it, having watched a lot of these debate channels and the way that the hosts host. This is how I think it will work best, or keep the most interest from the audience and the actual guests, the people on the show itself, happy, and willing to join. So far so good. the earlier shows, this one and the very first one, the pilot show, had lots of ballers, and it seemed there was a preponderance of flat earthers on the evening show that I did yesterday evening. Whether or not that trend will continue, who knows, we shall see. But it was nice that Arwin joined, and we actually got to see a bit of proper debating between Lewis, Hackett and Arwin. That was lovely. Same applies yesterday with the guy's name, Bass. I've forgotten the rest of his name. I do apologise. I did put his channel info in the info box on Flat Earth Debate 2. So if you want to check him out. But he was definitely opposed by Paula, Knowledge Scavenger, formerly Knowledge Scavenger, currently called Free Truth YouTube channel. Again, a link to her video is in the info box for Flat Earth Debate 2. And you can check her channel out along with her views and debunkings of the heliocentric rhetoric that was spouted by Bass when he was on yesterday, following the conversation with Zoe. So it's been far more eventful than I assumed. I thought that this would run maybe 2 or maybe even not necessarily onto the 3rd. I hoped by this stream we would have maybe 1 or 2 guests, but I didn't anticipate having any for the first couple. I thought it would just be me checking it's going out, seeing that people were getting the share link, people chatting in the chat with a lot of dead air. But so far so good. It's I could tell that from just doing the pilot. It was definitely going to be a success. It was definitely going to be viewed to a certain extent, even on my smaller channel. So I can only thank the audience, the people who are chatting away, excuse me, chatting away happily right now as I belch down the microphone. Yeah, it's a testament to you guys for tuning in live. So thank you very much indeed for coming and joining the show and participating in the chat, as much as I will slag you off as being keyboard warriors when you offer your controversial or contrary opinions to the people who are actually chatting on the show. But they will always take precedent and get favouritism and better treatment for being actually on the show rather than spouting their rhetoric from the chat, which is visible. So, you will get your opinions seen, albeit to a limited degree. Most people aren't reading every word that flies by on the re-uploads of these shows, or I'd assume they weren't, unless they are particularly keen-eyed and focused on these shows. Who knows? I probably would be. But there we go. Could do a few shout-outs to the chat. See who's in here. There's the million messages I haven't read fly by. Flat Earth Court, good to see you. Issa Mahal. I'm going to slightly rephrase this and say it deliberately incorrectly. Sweetie Taco, good to see you. Is there any debating going on in here? Curved Water and Arwen seem to be going at it in the chat, and yes, I can read Curved Water. I just didn't want to read it out as it was actually spelt. Okay, maybe Issa will jump on. Issa's usually got some opinions to express. I'm sure I'll get Issa at some stage. I'm not going to press you into coming on now if you're not free, but I'm in no doubt you will join us on one of these sessions. Express your views, Issa. I might think of pairings, just to who would be a good person to go up against who. Maybe Curved Water and Arwen, not because they're so different, but reasonably similar in some ways in terms of their demeanours, at least. Nice to see Curved Water and Issa Mahal on here. Cosmology denotes big bangs and 4 billion mile wide pizza Earth. Oh, sorry, Vedic cosmology, says Tim Osman. Carla says, Whoops. Come on, Issa, you're not a son of Adam. Trying to bully him into coming onto the panel. Maybe Charlotte should be your adversary, Issa Mahal. Maybe Charlotte will hop on the show and express her opinions. Definitely a keyboard warrior. Cynthia OC, good to see you. Very pleased to have you here. I've missed you in the chat, by the way. I'm really sorry. About a million messages flew by that I hadn't read. Scroll back and see. Ah, Pete Shea's in here. Is it actually the real Pete Shea? Let's check. It is. Good to see you, Pete. Thanks for being here. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Much obliged. Thank you, Pete. Feel free to come on and tell everybody about your views. Express to the world how everything is connected to the dodo. Not my views. But Pete's views. I'm certain people would be interested to hear them. The link is in the info box, Pete, if you want to join. Uncle Cuck, good to see you. That picture of P. Mars? Can't tell. Too small. Not babbling away to myself on camera with the mic muted. Fortunately not. Mark Taylor, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Said hello to everyone. If I'm repeating myself now, I apologise, but just so I don't miss anybody. New Perspective, good to see you. Cigar Face TV, John Watson. Fat Girth, another thought potato. Good to see you. Dennis Carson says, what's up, y'all? Sky. It's definitely the sky. Roger MC, Captain Bullshit. Come Teeth Seeker, good to see you all. Gem Panda 2012. Thanks for being on previous shows. Good to see you. Feel free to jump on if you fancy a quick natter. I have to go to work at some point today. For a little while. Chris Pooper Scooper, good to see you. Zoe, hello, how are you doing? Thank you so much for being on yesterday. I really appreciated it, Zoe. I mean, I really, really appreciated it. This morning, 15 minutes of dead air. It's not really stressful, but a little bit stressful because you obviously nobody wants a show with loads of dead air. You want want people to be entertained. I want people to watch these shows. So having you on to chat to was fantastic, and being a good enough sport to play along and continue to debate with somebody. And a few times you sort of appealed to me and I was like, kept my tongue buttoned and just left you to it. So I was so grateful. Rebel, good to see you. Is that really a vet? Let's just have a look. Probably not. Oh no, it is. Shock horror. Good to see you, Yvette. Cynthia, I think I've said already. Jason Campbell, good to see you. Else anymore for any more? Ain't missing personal data at 1,000. Is it mining? Ain't mining personal data at 1,000 miles an hour. Download my new app. Don't really understand what any of that meant. The screen name or his app quote. Meaningless nonsense in the chat, I'm afraid. I think that's it. I've done all the chat. Just make it another plug. Or not? No, I won't. I'll just go to transition to photos. If somebody joins, just feel free to say hello and I'll transition back. There it is. going to do a quick plug. Hopefully we'll be joined by another guest before I round out this show at the top of the hour. So this is my backup channel purely for doing these streams, or at least at the moment it is, and the channel is called Nathan Space Oakley. So if you're new to Nathan Space Oakley, or just Nathan Oakley, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you're new to me, be sure to click the link in the info box to my main channel, Nathan Oakley, where you can see my views expressed in terms of the shape of the Earth, debates with some of the guests who come on to debate with each other on this particular show, and my interviews with various flat earthers, sun tracking experiment, all sorts of vlogs, you name it, flat earth related, it's there on Nathan Oakley 1980, so be sure to subscribe to my main channel. The purpose of this platform is to offer an open forum for anybody to discuss the shape of the Earth, regardless of your views, your opinions, free from ad hominem attack, and hopefully logical fallacy. Although, that said, if people are putting up arguments, as certainly the last person who came on, Tim Osman, who had a tech scammer who believed the Earth was flat, which maybe he saw that as a bit of a backfire or just good entertainment, we shall find out next time he joins. But yes, if you wish to join and express your contrary opinions, you're welcome to do so, even if it is with a fallacious argument. If you're debating with a newbie, please don't feel the need to appeal to me to defend a poor knowledge, as that's not going to be my purpose, at least on this show. That said, I disclaimer, I've reserved the right to actually chat on my own show should I feel the need to, so I'm not just going to remain mute if you do join. Our only rules are as follows. If you do join the show, please do not swear, not because I'm particularly averse to swearing, but because it tends to be the case that people who are swearing are triggered. So we're joined by Isa Mahalski. How are you doing, Isa?
Yeah. Hey, what up, brother? How are you doing, man? This is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, except when there's silence,
All right.
but I can only waffle so much.
Nah, well, you know what, though? It's better than Earth discussions. Fucking, like, you know, they get, like, one person watching, and then they talk about, like, their lawnmower and how stupid flat earthers are or something. So, yeah, much better, brother. I appreciate the, I love this, because this is, you know, harkens back to what, you know, like, kind of the scene that I walked into out here, which was more of a debating, you know, more of just a bunch of community of smart people trying to, you know, work their way through these ideas. And then, you know, you always had your people that were just naysayers, you know, so it's really cool, man. I'm glad you're providing the platform, because, you know, what sucks is that Earth Discussions had a shot at it, but they just ban all the flat earthers, and they're so mean to everybody. Never mind that guy, George Hatunik, who was the guy who went after our good friend Brian Mullins.
Okay.
You know, you know, like those guys, like, you know, they can't handle a debate. They just get all little flustered and they turn into little, like, you know, like they can't stay in the debate. And there's very, very few of them that are actually like respectable anyway, to even worthy of the time. One of them is Curved Water. Who am I actually? Has he been in here yet? He'd be a great Glober to get in here. He's a smart dude. And
I've chatted with Curve
you know,
Water. Nice guy.
fun.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
I hope
yeah.
he comes in.
Yep, he is. He's just, you know, he's opinionated about the shape of the Earth, as we all are. And then I actually, he's one of the few guys that really was like, okay, you know, you could almost, as a flat earther, go through like a checklist of shit and bring it to him and be like, hey, what about this and what about that? And he's done a lot of his own experiments too, which is interesting. And a lot of people don't recognize too, even our good friend Atheist Rex, who whatever, you know, he's also a smart dude that is like you know, worthy of debate. It's like, you know, because they're like, have you ever seen Atheist Rex's videos about like Mars and the gods?
Yep.
You have? Okay, cool. Not many people know that. He's made those great videos. And I just think that it's, you know, too often flat earthers don't look to the opposition to check themselves. So I'm happy that you're opening this up, because it was what I first came in to do, you know, was to argue with all the ballers and at least make sure I wasn't, you know, totally off base, because you got to know your, you know, I don't know. I don't understand being a flat earther and not going and debating the hell out of the subject. I just don't get it.
Well, I do. It's a total lack of humility on the part of a lot of flat earthers, and there's going to be, well, it's more often the case that you're going to find yourself, I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but at a loss. In other words, you don't know the debunking, or you've got a misapprehension or a misunderstanding, and when that's pointed out to you, you have to have a certain degree of humility to be able to cope with that and go, I was wrong, or
oh yeah. I like. I mean, I was on. I remember like when I first got out, and it was actually I think it was Atheist Rex's channel, and then the debates was like and I was talking with a gentleman, Rhetoric and Discourse, and that was probably one of the. I always think of it because like we started talking about the horizon at eye level, and a lot of flat earthers are not willing to give up that. Oh, the horizon always rises to eye level. And, in a way, it was the conversation with him that made me realize, okay, I'll give you that the horizon doesn't go to eye level, so long as we can agree that the only reason it doesn't get to eye level is because of visibility. Look on the Weather Channel. It says you can only see however many miles. So naturally, the atmospheric buildup in a plane is going to lower the horizon maybe a little bit. But I'm not, but for flat earthers that won't give up that eye level argument, that's a point of contention where people now start losing their stuff, man.
why have you given it up? I mean, I'll try and phrase this so I don't inject too much of my own opinion, but has there been like geodetic surveying equipment taken up to 30,000 feet, and
Oh no! I'm just willing. I'm willing even to not so much out of experiment, but out of like respect for the sciences. It's like, okay, if you want to make that a point of contention, just prove to me it's not atmospheric buildup. You know what I mean? Like, prove to me it isn't some, obfuscation on behalf of the, or whatever, like, some kind of atmospheric buildup. Like I said, if you go on the Weather Channel right now, it'll tell you can only see like 7 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles. So what makes you think? What takes that out of the like? Even if you're high altitude, what makes you think that the atmosphere isn't building up and potentially lowering the horizon a little bit below eye level, but not, just by appearances?
Well, because they see it as a something I said I wouldn't do, but you're the only person here, so I'm the only person here. They would say that there's a reasonable presupposition that it's curved.
Oh, right. Well, they're going to say, I mean, ballers, you mean?
Yeah. I mean,
or flat. Yeah. Well, yeah, but they'll try, and that's the thing is they'll try to say that the reason that it goes to below the eye level is because of the curve. And I'm just offering up okay, if it's the same observation that we're making, and like, let's say if we are honest with ourselves and we go up and maybe even for yourself, it looks a little bit below the eye level. It doesn't mean that the earth is curving. It just means potentially that there's weather or there's atmospheric blocking that's happening. Some kind of condition. And these are the little finer points that, I don't know, I hope get, aired out over here, because these are the kind of things that make people think. And it's not so dogmatic, and it's not so like, Eric Dubay said it comes to eye level, so therefore it comes to eye level. It's like, you've got to step out of that realm. It's like when some people say to me, like, oh, did Mark Sargent invent flat earth? It's like, okay, well, if you could just show me that the Quran doesn't say it, that the Bible doesn't have something to say about it, that that's the real issue for me is, when people try to go there. But if you're going to try to stick to those presumptions, you might wind up in a contentious argument with somebody instead of being able to agree with thine adversary quickly and come to some form of like, I think, sure, okay, you want to say it doesn't go to eye level? Okay, well, I say it's because of atmospheric conditions. You're going to say it's a ball earth? Well, prove it's not atmospheric conditions. Prove the Weather Channel doesn't say I can only see so far today. Right, and, just these little, just as ideas. What's up?
Well, if that was the debate, you'd both have presuppositions that would need justification, really, wouldn't you? One being the curve, one being atmospheric blocking. It would be up to you to prove atmospheric blocking if that was your argument. Right. But likewise, if they were saying, well, no, it's curvature, it's like, well, that's another presupposition. You'd have to prove that to me.
Right, but here's the difference is that I can go turn on the Weather Channel or go on right now to a weather.com, whatever, and find out how much visibility is available. For them, they now have to resort to some kind of, picture from space. Like, it's like, I think just so people know, it's like, what are they going to show other than a picture from space? Whereas we can go on to Weather Channel and it says, hey, you can only see this far. So it's like, okay, that makes sense that the horizon might be a little bit below eye level. So what makes us think that, to me, it's not a substantive thing to give up is the eye level argument. It's not like, it doesn't make or break flat Earth. And that's the point. And that's the thing with all these arguments. Neither one of them make or break either one. What's up?
I mean, would you say it's akin or parallels or tallies with the would you, by the same token, would you say it's not unreasonable to give them a little bit of curvature where I would say it's lensing and atmospheric blocking closer to the ground level? So yes, in yesterday's stream, Zoe showed one of Rob Skeever's videos where he basically put a lens in front of a diagram and showed how much it was causing to lose off the bottom. But by what you're conceding, you're almost conceding their presupposition by saying, I'll give you a little bit of curvature when you go up, but therefore you'd have to give them the same curvature on the ground when it was, easily demonstratable as atmospheric lensing. I can almost, I'm almost goading Tim Osman to come in by saying this, so that he'll come in and debate you rather than me doing it for him.
Well, think about on that level too. It's like the that's where my conditional acceptance for that in that way has always been, I say that, if at 120,000 feet, right, like, because what will happen is, people will I've pulled up pictures and shown what I think to be a flat horizon, and they say, and ballers say, well, there's a little bit of curve on the end right there, and you can just see it dirt for dirt. And so my thing has always been, I'll give you a little bit of curvature at 120,000 feet, so long as we can all agree that no boat ever went over the curve of the Earth from anyone standing on the beach. Because, and that's a number 2 on their fucking, their reasons for believing in a ball Earth. So I just want to knock that one off their list. And then we can address the looming or the apparent curvature at 120,000 feet. But first, let's recognize no boat ever went over the curve of the Earth. And like it didn't disappear because of the curve of the Earth. Maybe perspective, atmospheric conditions, and visibility, as evidenced by the Weather Channel. I think we have more on that. There's more substantive. If I can go to the Weather Channel and they have to go to NASA, you know what I mean? It already puts them on the back foot, in my opinion. It's at least for the at least for someone watching. Because I remember coming into this conversation and having hot flashes, like talking to Cathexis or something, like where you're like, oh shit, like, am I wrong? Because all of a sudden you've got to deal with this, these facts, and it doesn't make it. I don't know. To me, it's like after going through having those hot flashes of like, oh shit, am I wrong? Am I wrong? I've come to the conviction of where I'm at, where it's like, hey, it looks flat. I don't feel like I'm moving. You know what I mean? Like, it's Cathexis' greatest line, and every flat earther should know it, is there may be enough evidence, scientific evidence, to lead one to believe that we live on a ball. But it appears that the sun, the stars, and the moon are going over our head, and that the Earth is flat. That's what it looks like to us. And it's this, it's the synthesis of all the information. The conviction, however, becomes now the next part of the conversation with that. Are you going to have any semblance of conviction regarding this information? I mean, like, certain people have made bets, which I find to be ludicrous, about flat Earth. You don't make bets about this. But, like, at the same time, because it's too open for interpretation. That's why I call it Flat Earth Court on my show, is because I can argue on Monday that it's flat, on Tuesday that it's a ball, on Wednesday that it's concave. You know what I mean? Like, it's like those arguments are there. It's just the personal interpretation of the facts. And I think for me, it looks flat, motionless, and, prove it isn't.
Yeah, personally, exactly. You are your own judge. That's the message I take from the title of your channel, Flat Earth Course.
Yes.
And that's ultimately all it ever means, because the stacks of evidence that you can present to people. You know, it doesn't matter, as you present any fact to anybody with evidence, you know, to back it up, strong evidence, once presented to somebody else, that doesn't make it a fact, it doesn't make it true, it doesn't make it anything. It's just being presented to somebody else for them to pass their judgment on it. And at that point, it is down to the person who's having to make a judgment. And in most instances, when it comes to these piles of controversial evidence or contradicting evidence in some instances, you have to make your own judgment. You have to assess them and go, which do I deem to be more valid? Because often they are literally contradicting each other. You know, curve, no curve. And the way that evidence is presented can complement one idea and not complement the other. It can complement both in some instances, amazingly. You know, it's a world of fascinating contradictions. It's flat Earth, or the world we live in. But ultimately speaking, it's down to you and your judgment. That's all you have the power of. You have the power of one. And it's amazing. It's a huge amount of power. It's surprising the amount of power the power of one actually is. And how little people understand about it, and are led by their emotions rather than their logic, you know, their beliefs and their faith rather than their judgment. And when you are on the show, you tend to you're more specifically talking about law, which isn't for me what I'm talking about here, i.e. personal judgment. You're talking about it in relation to the Matrix, and we live in the Matrix. We're not getting away from it. You know, none of us doing this right now are off grid. You know, we're on the bloody internet talking about flat Earth. So we're about as much a part of the Matrix as we possibly could be, and I'm more than willing to accept that.
Right, and that's something I think that a lot of people are not willing to accept. It's the idea of like this whole "we do not consent" thing I've been seeing from like the likes of Richie from Boston and gentlemen like that whom I like. But I also understand, like, wait a minute, hey, this is something where, you know, even in flat Earth, it's like, you know, if we were on this is the problem, is that what's happened is that too many flat earthers and ball earthers are like, you know, if I'm in a flat Earth room and or if you're in a baller room and you say, hey, you know, plain sailing navigation treats 600 nautical miles as flat, you know, and then they just say, no, it doesn't. I do not consent. You know, that's the problem to me, is that we're not understanding that you can't just, it's so offensive to say, no, it doesn't. Like if you're a flat earther and somebody says, you know, somebody flat earther like myself says, hey, plain sailing navigation treats 600 nautical miles as flat. And somebody says, no, it doesn't. I do not consent. You know, that's where you're like, well, you know, now you're at a dead end. And this is where if we can recognize that we're in the Matrix, then we have to recognize that we have to, I think, you know, conditionally accept any of these offers. We can't just, I don't want to end the conversation with my brothers and sisters that even have a slight grasp on this conversation. And I would hope that others feel the same. You know, at the end of the day, we're all going to have to deal with it. At any rate, we're all going to have to fucking deal with one another at the end of the day. So, you know, there's that part of it too. We can't just, like you said, slip out. You know, you can't just lie and pretend to yourself that you're not in the Matrix. You know, I think in light of so much of it, especially with the biblical side of it, people that are like, I'm not going to take it, and I'm going to ready to die for Jesus. Like, you know, for all that shit, it's like, yeah, well, hold on. You know, didn't the Lord say that, you know, didn't God give dominion over the, you know, to man over the earth? Like, why would you neglect your responsibilities? That's what I think. It's like, why would we not want to understand this game of court, the understanding of law? Because we can't, you know, I mean, you could try to escape it, but good luck. I mean, go look up any sovereign free man wrecks the courthouse video, and it's actually at the end of it, you'll see that the dude actually probably had a warrant put out on for him because he was arguing jurisdiction and all the rest of it instead of accepting it. Hey, I'd love to, so long as you could show me I can't set off, settle, and close this matter pursuant to the UCC 3603. Or so long as you could show me that, you know, I'm happy to give you, I agree with you. I conditionally accept your offer that there's curvature at 120,000 feet, so long as we can all agree that no boat ever went over the curvature or, you know, disappeared over the curvature at the beach. Sure. And that's an offer they can't refuse. And that's what I think, even like, that's what I talk about over it my way, you know, because really conditionally accept. The saddest part to me is I see more ballers picking up on what I'm putting down than I do flat earthers. And that gets me because I'm like, oh shit, flat earthers are going to get wrecked by these ballers who understand conditional acceptance. There's no, you know, and if you're going to say no, and you can't do that, you're going to have problems. So, but I think that will be, that'll be shown as this debate in here starts popping off. You'll see it. You'll see people say, no. And, you know, and it's just disrespectful. It doesn't continue the negotiations. And that's, you know, I think why, and that's why you'll have to be there as a judge to moderate the affairs, much like in the real world, where you have a judge who doesn't give a shit about this party's opinion, this party's opinion. It's just about what are the facts. And all they're going to do is come to a point that rises to a conclusion that nobody agrees upon. And then the judge is going to have to rule. But if there's agreement between the parties, then the judge doesn't really have to, you know, the judge is like, hey, cool. Because now, you know, it's like I said, you can't, I don't think there's anyone that can handle the conditional acceptance, as I've just said. Sure, you want to say at 120,000 feet there's a little curvature? Then give me that no boat went into the distance over the curvature. That's a tough one. And those are the kind of questions that we need to pose to one another if we want to advance this conversation. Otherwise, it'll be a bunch of two-sided camps. It'll be a Hegelian, Bernaysian dialectic. And everyone will fucking fall victim to the television show that's going on. And, you know, and more often than not, we'll become fodder for it. You know, but whatever. What's up? Anyone want to come in?
Yeah, doing fine, Lisa. There's a few naysayers saying, get in there and debate him. Obviously, the keyboard warriors who don't want to do it themselves.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Nice. Yeah, shout out to Cynthia. Let's see. Cigar face. Word up. Cool. Am I still on?
Yeah, it's all good.
So I'm here. Okay, good. Cool. I'm just I'm on my phone. I don't know. Sometimes when I go look at the chat, it turns off the Hangouts and derp. But yeah, have you guys? We're doing FEMA camp.
You looking forward to it?
November 4th and 5th. Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm a little bit. They say that Antifa is trying to like start a war around about that time though, which isn't that cool. I don't know. Are you familiar with that? You know about that? November 4th, Antifa. Do you know about Antifa?
Nope.
The Antifa. Are you serious? Okay, all right. So in the United States, you're probably playing dumb for the fucking audience. You're smart. Or no, you really haven't heard of it? Seriously?
I don't watch the news. I don't read the papers. Current affairs is definitely not my thing. I mean, I'm a lot happier for it, but you feel free to tell me. This is how I find out information like this. So
sure. Yeah. Well, the only reason I'm, I guess a little bit concerned about it is the idea that it's here in the States, and there's this group that's called Antifa, and they've, I guess, or allegedly they've issued a warning that November 4th they're going to try to like start an uprising, and then there's also the counter to that, which are some American patriots who were like, "Oh, please bring it, motherfucker, because I can't wait to use my fucking," and they're all ready to go to war over here. It's not it's on YouTube. Who knows how serious anyone is, but these are real things. And as we know, as I've said, and here's the thing that gets me. Okay, Hillary Clinton, right, has been it's weird that the Democratic Party is acting like they didn't just get caught selling uranium to the Russians. Have you heard about that? So the DNC over here in the States has been caught colluding, like the Democratic Party was caught with the Russians. All the while, they were blaming the Republicans for being in collusion with the Russians. And so anyway, what we have is this what I look at it is that what they want to do is create a division so that the Democrats are vindicated at the end of all this. So Antifa would be this Democratic institution, George Soros funded, and would be seeking to create a wedge between the people here in the States and allow for this, what I think the globalism agenda is coursing through the veins of the Democratic Party. And what they want is a division. And if they get that split in that division, then they can create their then they can send in NATO, and then and then I heard everyone who thinks that China owns the debt, to the U.S. And hey, what's up, Brenda? And so everyone thinks that the U.S. owes this debt to China, and then so it's this idea where if shit hits the fan, they will be able to send in their NATO troops, and they will try to say that the Constitution is outdated, and they will try to implement the UN's version of human rights. And this is something, as long as we're aware of it, we'll see the play and we can bark it back. But aside from that, what's up, Brenda?
Good morning.
How you doing?
Fine.
Lovely.
So what nonsense are you spouting?
I don't know which one. I went through a litany right there. I was talking about Antifa, if that's what you're referring to.
Oh.
Why? What's up? What's cracking?
No, I was just wondering.
Are you a flat earther yet? Or
Just got here. No, of course not.
Ugh,
Why would I be a flat earther? Why would I want to believe something that is demonstrably false?
Demonstrably? How would you how would you demonstrate it?
By showing the curve.
Please show us a curve.
Yeah. Soundly has done that. Just review his videos.
Soundly's an admitted liar. Him and Kara are over there working
No,
on
he's not.
Are you sure?
Prove it.
Well, he said that he believed in Jesus Christ's resurrection, but he didn't believe that the Bible was said the earth was immovable. So he's full of contradictions, right?
I don't see what that has to do with anything.
Well, why would I trust somebody that doesn't have the common sense to make a distinction between, let's say, like their own scientific interpretations of the Bible, but then believes in the resurrection of all? Like, why would he believe one part of the Bible and not the other? He's inconsistent to me. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to believe that, like, are you a Christian, Brenda?
No, I'm an atheist.
Okay. So, like, if someone were to say, like, what do you think about people who say that Jesus resurrected from the dead, like, just on a scientific level?
I don't see how that's possible.
Right. So would you say that someone who believes in the resurrection of Jesus is mentally all there? From your perspective?
Yeah, I think people can be mentally all there and believe in the resurrection of Christ, yes.
Okay, so if you're going to believe in the resurrection of Christ, right, which is something that is scientifically kind of outlandish, right, then, like, why wouldn't you believe the rest of that book?
Because it's wrong.
Right, so why would you believe any of it? And then why would I trust my cosmological perspective to someone who is so disjointed in their own philosophy of religion? Right?
No, because that would be a sweeping generalization. People can be right in one area of study and be wrong in a different one.
Right, or it's indicative of lying, right?
No.
No?
No.
So you don't think inconsistency is a part of someone's psychological makeup that would lie?
No.
Really?
No, I think that people can be mistaken, and they can compartmentalize their beliefs.
Right.
So, plenty of people throughout history have done scientific work and believed in various parts of the Bible, even contradictory parts of the Bible. People compartmentalize their beliefs.
Right, but we're talking about a guy who has the only curved pictures of water. Like, he's the only. Doesn't. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Who else does?
Well, I have curved pictures of water I pulled off the internet. There's plenty of proofs of that the Earth is round.
Well, show us one.
Soundly isn't.
I got a question. Isa.
Hey, what's up, man? How you been, man?
What's going on, dude? We haven't talked in a while.
I know, brother. I was happy to see you. I thought maybe you got arrested or something. I was like, what happened to App?
Thank God, I haven't. No.
Over there trying to find a curvature, getting arrested on federal property or something. I was like, oh God.
Dude, jump on a Southwest flight and go to where Soundly's at. He's in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, I think it's Louisiana or something like that, right?
If you plan it in advance, you can go there like $65 one way. You can go and debunk him. He's invited any flat earther to come and refute his pictures and go with him to make those observations.
Well, wait though. Didn't
none of the flat earthers have offered to go. I guess they don't have.
No, they have actually. Morky Love and Joe Sylvie offered to go with him and soundly refused.
Oh, that's not what I've heard from Soundly. I mean, he just made a video inviting people out there.
Yeah, but that's coming from Soundly. That's to say that he's not a liar.
So but okay. So where are those people's videos from when they went over there?
No, they were going to go with Soundly, and he refused to take them. The point is that
they don't have to go with Soundly though. They could just go on the bridge and take video with their P900.
Right, but I thought he was inviting people. Do you see the inconsistency?
Well, I don't know the details.
The inconsistency.
I'm sure I don't expect your observations to fucking capture it all. But my point is that what I'm saying is that there's inconsistency that has been ripe with Soundly. Now, granted, Soundly is a fine whistler. I have no problem with Soundly whistling. The point is that everything else seems like a little bit weird coming out his direction.
One of the flat earthers, they don't need Soundly in any way. They know where those observations were taken. They can take a Southwest flight for like $60 one way if they book it far enough in advance and bring their P900 and then go zoom in all the way on those bridges that he's doing and those power lines, and then show us how their observations with their P900 that's not, quote unquote CGI, how it looks.
Well, there's already pics of Lake Pontchartrain without.
But I haven't seen one that does what Soundly is doing, which is zooming down.
Exactly. And does that not make sound? And doesn't that make Soundly stuff a little bit suspect?
No. I want to see a flat earther debunk it by going there and showing the P900 image, not showing curvature all the way zoomed in the way he has it done.
Yeah, dude, that's the point. Is that everything he's done has been a lie. He's come in with something with him and Caramade and that
you
fucking
haven't proved that. You haven't shown that.
And it's just claiming that he's lying. I mean, he even did the video. He even did the video where he shot himself shooting it and then uploading it.
No, you're right. Just give me one other fucking person who has pictures of curved water like he does, and I'll believe Soundly stuff. But until you do, it's just believe that he's the only person on the internet, and you believe that stuff. So you're proving yourself that you're not intellectually, credible, right?
Well, why should there be like a multitude of
just one more? I just want one more.
Well, I think there is. I think there is someone he works with, but I
want someone that's not connected to Soundly.
I wanted to clarify a point very quickly, which was that the reason that invitation was refused by Soundly was because it meant that he was going to have to go and pick up a woman on his own, and go and do this thing. And he's he's a married man and he takes that very seriously, and that's why he wouldn't do that. So it's really about his I would say high levels of
his religious convictions.
Reason that hasn't happened rather than the other way around.
Right, his inconsistent religious convictions. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, like my point is that,
everyone who's religious has
how about this?
Conviction.
Sure.
Everyone who has any kind of
one at a time, Jeremy. Just let him get his point in. He's on his own against three of you at the moment.
All right, yeah. Well, I'm going to back out. I only came to make that point, really.
Oh no, and thank you for it. I don't want to call Soundly out. My point is just bring somebody else. The point is that all you have is Soundly, right?
Well, no, not at all, is it? That he's just the person that happens to have gone and literally shot the curvature. But I mean, he isn't all we've got. I mean, you reject all the pictures from space, but they're still there. You reject or pretend geodetics.
No, we're just talking about
exist, but it's still there.
Right? No, but we're talking independent observation. Like I can show in videos that I've taken where I have a hard time finding, there's no curvature. And then I could look at a line and I see a whole litany of footage that shows lack of curvature. And then there's only one guy, Soundly, who's found the curvature. Are you guys like I mean, if you
I don't think you have. You do have videos where there's a lack of curvature.
Well,
I think you have videos where people claim there's a lack of curvature.
Right, but
that one bridge you were shooting that you couldn't see the bottoms of the bridge, and we talked about it. I'm like, how come we can't see the sand and the gravel at the bottom of the bridge?
I showed you, and it's one of my videos. I get actually the intro video that I use for my shows. I showed there's an example of the atmospheric blockage. It blocks. Like I watched in my footage, there's a video where you can see the front of the boat, and after another boat passes in front of it, there's a wall of water that now takes out the bottom portion of the boat, and you can still see the land behind it. So it's an optical light issue.
Well, I remember you had one video where there was definitely a lot of atmospheric refraction going on, where you were seeing some weird effects
right
over the water, which you get when the water is a very different temperature than the air above it.
Right. And all I'm
that doesn't that doesn't debunk all the hundreds of shots of people showing hillsides, like Wolfie 6020. He has those videos of Rotten Nest Island where he shoots it at 2 meters and 30 meters and does a side by side, and there's a wall of water blocking off many of the objects on the hillside at the lower elevation that are visible at the higher elevation.
Well, wouldn't you agree that regardless of what people's thing is, that you're dealing with atmospheric conditions which muddies the waters? So, it's almost like, but the point is that...
How could atmospheric conditions create a wall of water above,
do you want me to show you? Hold on.
Hundreds of feet of hillside?
I'll get my computer out if we need to do this. Hold on one second.
If you were talking about the visibility, I mean, on a clear day, when they if you're a pilot on a clear day and you check the weather, it'll say greater than 10 miles. It doesn't say, oh, the visibility today is 80 miles or 90 miles or 100 miles. It'll say greater than 10 miles.
Right. It'll say like 10. Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't mean that the visibility is 10 miles. It just means that it's a clear day and that you could see for hundreds of miles.
Let me see. I'm gonna join in on my computer real quick. Hold on one sec, gentlemen.
While Issa's just joining with a second feed, the guy who's joined, I can't quite see my screen at this distance. Sorry, what's your name?
Oh, I'm Epistemology for Truth.
Epistemology for Truth. Thank you very much for joining.
Oh, thanks, Nathan. Very kind of you to invite everyone in.
My pleasure. Hopefully you'll join again. You're doing really well. Join, haven't you, here?
Oh, Issa and I have gone at it lots of times.
Oh yeah, epistemology is a sweetheart. I love that. I remember when Yvette first brought you in. She was like, "You should talk to Ep. He's great." See, that was.
I try my hardest not to be a dick,
I love you, dude. I love all you motherfuckers.
I get a little carried away sometimes emotionally, but
my thing is, I've always fought for at least you guys to have a voice in this, man. Like, that's my thing. It's that I don't like the idea that anyone gets kicked out of the conversation. Free speech is my ethic, and I'm sticking to it. Because that's the only way that I think we can preserve anything here. All right, let's see here. I want to show this one bit of footage because I think it speaks volumes in the for flat earthers and everyone alike. All right, let's see here. Try to screen share. Application window. Cool. All right, so can you guys see this? I don't know if everyone can see this. Nathan, maybe you can share.
Yeah, I see it. We all see it.
Cool. All right, so here's this. Let's take it back just a touch. Okay, so as you'll notice here, you can see the front of the boat right here as I zoom in. You see the front of the boat, everybody, right? So we can see the front of the boat from this perspective. Now you'll notice that there's going to be a boat that goes in front of it, and there's a wall of atmospheric conditions right behind it, and now you won't be able to see the front of the boat. And this is what a lot of people, if that land was not behind it, they would say that the boat is over the curvature of the earth, when clearly we can see that the boat, this is the greatest footage I've ever gotten, because it literally shows that there is this wall of water that was just created. We just saw the front of the boat over here, but now it's going to, and this is due to the distance. As I pull back, you'll see that this is what happens when something is anywhere from 8 to 10 miles away from you. And see how the front of the boat is blocked by that water. It seems as though, and then I go to this other shot, like you were referring to about on Verrazano Bridge, And what I'm trying to show here is that there is the wall of water right there. And there's enough traffic in front of this that already the wall of water was created, this atmospheric illusion. And you can see even we've talked about the magnification because there's buildings in the background over here that you shouldn't be able to see, or at least, on the model proposed or the academic. And so here again, I remind that here's the front of the boat.
Here's the clear difference, though, Isa. In this video, this boat is clearly not over the horizon, and you can tell because there's not a clear defined line of water that's blocking that boat. What you're seeing is incredible distortion because there's probably a big temperature differential between the water and the air, so we're getting a lot of refraction from the atmosphere, and it kind of just looks like you're looking through a swirling water almost, right? Where you're getting all of these weird shimmering effects, but there's not this clearly defined wall of water that you do when you're looking at something that's brought beyond the horizon, like the base. Like when we look at that video of the bridge, where you look at the bottom of the foundation of those pillars, you can see a wall of water cutting off where you cannot see the gravelly shore that those things are mounted on that are visible of that bridge from a closer location.
Right, but do you see how that's the only thing? Like, okay, let's remove Soundly from the conversation, and
we're not talking about Soundly.
Oh, well, no, you're talking about Sound. Oh, forgive me. I thought you were talking about Soundly's bridge. You're talking about okay, gotcha. You're talking about the Verrazano here. Let's go back to that. Okay, here. So the footage, go back and take a shot of it again. You're right. Okay, so yes. So you're saying here that I can't see the bottom of this bridge. Is that what you're saying?
You can't. Yeah, right. You cannot see the shore that those pillars are on. That if you Google the Verrazano Bridge, you can see that those pillars.
Right, but couldn't you?
The entire hull of the boat has disappeared.
Right, exactly. Much like this, Brenda.
No, that's like that at all.
No, are you sure? Because
yes.
Okay, hold on.
Where's the horizon?
Well, then how come I can't see how come I can't see the shore in the land behind this boat?
Yes, you can. What do you?
Where's the? No, I can't. I can't see the shore.
That's the dark. That's the dark area.
You can see the shore, but it is very blurry. There is clearly a lot.
But in much the same way. How about let's go back because let's say much the same way. Like let's say if we can see the shore in the video before the
right there.
Right. Okay. So here we go. So we can see that, and this is what my point is. Okay. So see how we see the shore? Great point. Okay, we can see the shore. Now, as this wall of water encompasses the front of this boat, you'll notice that you can't see the bottom of the shore anymore. See, like there?
Can you link me the GPS coordinates of where you took that shot, or just like a Google Maps link to exactly where you were standing and what direction you were shooting, so we can measure how far the shore is from where your position was?
I don't know if I would remember the exact location, but I mean, yeah, we can address that later. But this is the point, is that here.
I don't think you're very far out.
Okay, but my point is this. You could agree that the front of the boat is now invisible due to atmospheric conditions. Is that right?
I would agree that there's definitely atmospheric effects going on that are sort of bubbling, kind of bubbling the whole image in such a way that that the whole of the boat goes sort of opaque with the water, and kind of comes back into view and then goes opaque again. That's what I'm saying, is we can tell this is not over the horizon because we're not getting a nice, clearly defined line the way you do when you're shooting something over the horizon, where you just see a wall of water with a very defined edge.
Okay, so you're thinking in the next footage that I go to where
I don't think you're shooting very far. I doubt that shore you're shooting is more than a few miles away.
Right. It's probably about 6 or 7 miles away. Now, my point is this, though. So what I'm asking you is that, are you proposing that, let's say, this sailboat here?
So here in this one, this is a good shot here, because if you just Google
real quick, hold on, real quick. Just a question: is this boat over the curve of the Earth?
Yes, I believe so. At least the hull is. Yeah. The hull
okay, hold on. Okay, so how come? Let's just say, right? See, let's say when it pans out right in here, you see the buildings back here.
Yeah, sure.
These buildings are in New Jersey. They're over 20 miles away. Now I've got footage with them in this this is during the summer, and then I have footage during the winter where you can't see these. They're not available. So we can agree that there's some atmospheric heat differentials happening. But how would I be able to see these buildings, which are in New Jersey and look pretty high up, if this is the curve of the Earth?
Yeah, but they're hundreds of feet tall. We can see the bottom of we're missing like the bottom 10 or 20 feet of that boat, but we can still see the mast, right? Because
wouldn't that just be due to
the horizon's only obscuring the hull of the ship, not the mast, right?
And
the same way in those buildings, we can't see the ground level of those buildings, but those buildings are probably hundreds of feet tall, maybe 400 or 500 feet
okay,
tall.
so let me just get it straight then. You think that this is the curve of the Earth even after seeing the footage that I showed you before?
I know it's the curve of the Earth because look at how much of the blocks, because if you Google the Verrazano Bridge, where you can see a nice aerial of it close up.
So even in light of the evidence that I've shown you,
pillars go on. There's huge foundational blocks, along with like this little rocky shoreline around the blocks, that we cannot see here. We're seeing almost all the blocks completely obscured by that wall of water.
And so you think that's the curve of the Earth, regardless of the footage I've shown you?
There's no other explanation for why there would be a wall of water blocking the majority of the bottom blocks.
Well, there is, but you don't accept it, right?
What is it?
It's atmospheric conditions. Like I showed you in the video before.
Unlike the other video, there's a clearly defined wall of water. There's a clearly defined edge.
Right, but wouldn't you agree that there also could be, due to the, like I said, the atmospheric, it'd be post. Like what I caught in that footage was the wall of water being created. And so like what I'm saying is that wall would have already been created at the point of me going in and zooming in on that boat. But you're insistent that that's the curve of the Earth.
What we see in the boat video is sort of this blotchy opaqueness that's clearly refraction because the light is being scattered in all directions, right? So you have this sort of blotchy opaqueness, not a clearly defined edge of water like you have in the other video.
What do you mean, the boat or the?
Look at the video. That's the difference.
Well, I think it's the same video, but it's a different portion, isn't it?
No, I think that's a different observation, right, Isa?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's two observations. I'm actually trying to pull up the winter observation now. Just as
So what would it look like if the Earth was curved?
Well, that's the interpretation of the facts. That's all. That's really what we're.
What would you expect to see if the Earth was curved?
At the correct numbers that we've been given, I would expect to see much more curvature than we're given. Like right here. Okay, so like here.
I don't think you understand my question. What kinds of observations could we make if the Earth was curved that would tend to support the Earth being curved?
Well, I don't know because it just seems like a bunch of donkey dust.
Well,
right?
If you don't know what kind of evidence would support the curved Earth, how could you ever know that whether the Earth was curved or not?
Okay, so here, well, I mean, that's the point, and that's your problem. You've got otherwise it looks flat. It looks really flat, and it just seems like it's really flat. And that's the point here.
This is just a basic science question. Science, you make observations, and from those observations, you make a hypothesis. And then
right. So where's your proof of curvature? It doesn't look like it's curved.
And then you conduct experiments that validate the theory that you've developed based on your observations.
Right, but it's your theory. You're the one who believes in space missions and all the rest of it. It's you're the one who has to provide the evidence, and the only evidence you can provide comes from Soundly, it appears like, right? So
people knew the Earth was round long before Soundly.
Wait a minute, and was that because of the celestial sphere, Brenda?
The celestial sphere? No, I don't think so.
You sure? You don't think so? Historically, that's not how they figured it out. Well, you don't know what I mean. Doesn't that imply that you might not know a whole bunch of other stuff that matters to this conversation? So, Brenda, you tell me, how did they discover how the Earth was round?
The Greeks did.
How?
Eratosthenes, by measuring shadows. By measuring shadows, yes.
Wasn't that just to figure out the distance of the sun?
I was actually thinking.
Well, that was
19th century.
that was more to define exactly how large the roundness was.
Okay, and check it out.
I think they kind of thought it might be round because they looked at all the celestial objects like the moon and the sun and saw that they were spherical, and they also would notice objects coming up over the horizon, and so they started sort of saying, okay, well, it looks like we might also be sitting on a spherical object.
Yeah, people have noticed that sailboats go away over the horizon and come back up over the horizon.
So how did they prove it?
Centuries.
How did they prove it?
Prove what?
How did they prove that the Earth is a globe? Though?
It's an observation. It's an observation.
I don't think they didn't have the technology to prove that it was a sphere, but they definitely were able to make the observations that they're standing on a curved surface, right? So like Eratosthenes, he assumed that the curve, he had to, because they didn't have the ability to travel around the whole world, right? They didn't have.
Well, didn't Aristophanes use light, right? And how the hell?
He measured the angle of shadows, but he had.
Well, hold on. Was he not using?
Let me just finish real quick. He made the assumption that the curvature was consistent all the way across the lands, right? But I mean, you're right in that technically that was a sort of a leap of faith, because maybe it was curved as much as the Earth is curved in radius for the parts that he measured, but maybe it flattened out at some place. Maybe the Earth was shaped, the shape wasn't consistent all the way around. Like, he had no way of knowing for sure that curvature was consistent all the way around. He just knew that the parts he measured were curved.
I'll leave them chatting in the background while I say a massive thank you to all of the live audience who have joined us for this particular debate, Flat Earth Debate number 3. Be sure to tune in and hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. I will leave these guys to round out with a few more minutes, and then I'll thank them for joining the show. But to all of you who have joined in live, thanks once again.
Confirm 100%. That was where the data pointed to him, was that the Earth is this spherical shape, but because they couldn't circumnavigate the Earth, and they certainly couldn't get high enough to take a picture of the entire Earth, they had no way of knowing 100% that curvature was consistent all the way everywhere, right?
See a lot of spiders.
How can you, hold on real quick, how can you measure the curvature based off of crepuscular rays anyway?
It wasn't crepuscular rays. He measured.
Sure? And also, how the hell? Hold on, here's another one. How the hell can you get?
Wait a minute. Why don't you let him answer the first question first before you ask another one?
Tell me how he didn't measure light using crepuscular rays, please.
He didn't measure using crepuscular rays. He measured the difference in the angle of the shadows over a known distance.
And don't shadows use light, which would be coming from crepuscular rays?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
How can a crepuscular ray, which we have evidence of, be made with a convex lens?
What are you talking about? You're just throwing out words that you don't even know.
My point is, no, it's to show that. No, actually, are you sure? Because the point is that you kind of sound like you don't know what you're talking about when you're saying that he didn't use light; he used shadows. Don't you sound like a fool when you say that?
Right, well, before you go on to that ad hominem attack, I'm sorry, guys, just bear with me. I'm going to say a massive thank you to you all, because I'm going to round out this show now. It's been running for a good 3 hours, 3 hours, 10 minutes.
Brendan F, I love you guys.
Always
crepuscular rays are parallel. You know that, right?
Are you serious, Brendan?
No, I'm totally serious.
I know it's a problem.
Right. I will. I'm going to definitely interject. I'm going to say a huge thank you to.
You have no clue what you're talking about at all. You do this quite a lot.
I may have to turn down the hangout.
Crepuscular rays are parallel.
So I'm going to say a huge thank you to Brenda and Isa and Epistemology Now. Is that correct? Hopefully so. And once again, say a massive thank you to the live audience for joining us. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.